And also, sir, I have some doubt because just a moment, sir. I have some doubt as well. That's why I'm not clear about the concept, but I'll show you the screen, sir. Just a moment.
Okay, sure. You know how to share,
Host,
right? Just
sir,
click on
host
share.
disable. Yeah, it's showing host disable participant screen sharing.
Yeah, you disable. Oh, okay, okay. Just a second, just a second. Where is this? Okay, now try again, please.
Yes, sir. No, it's fine. So, did you see? Are you seeing my
Yeah,
screen,
yeah,
sir?
yes, I can see
Yeah.
your screen. So I can see
Yes, sir.
scope 2. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is just a simple scope.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
And here I have generated one more scope, sir. This one.
okay. Hold on, go to the first server. So on the first server, it's 200.0, and on the second server, you have two scopes. Are these split scope?
No, sir, after this, I'm going to make the split scope. But, sir, there was one error with the IP conflict, sir. Like the
Yes,
IP,
yes, there will be, because you have created same scopes, two same scopes on the same on two different servers. So
Mhm.
200.0, if I can, let me try to request remote control on this. Okay.
But I have a same problem. Like I made everything, but when I just want to ask, you have to change the class of the scope.
Yes. So when you create, so first of all, one subnet can only exist on one server. Okay. So the problem that I see right away on Dishan's computer is that if we go to the first server, I can see the scope 172.168.200.0, and the same scope exists on the other server as well.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
this
We,
will
Adnan
not.
bhai, sorry to interrupt. We actually created a split scope on the second server, but on the first server, it was actually not showing up
Okay.
as the
Very
split
good.
server. I mean, as the split scope essentially.
Yes,
Right.
sir. This is the problem because I showed to Ashish and he understand everything, sir.
Okay, so
Yes,
which means you created a split scope, but it was not showing on the other server, so you created it
Yes.
then?
No, no, no. Essentially, we created the split scope on server 2 after we installed the scope, right? And then when we actually tried to add it on the server 1, I don't think so. It actually went through. So when we go to DC, the server 1, essentially, it doesn't really like show all the attributes that it's supposed to, right?
Okay, okay.
but I
Uh,
think when the server like first server is off, it automatically goes on the second one. When the second is off, it will not show any scopes because the first one is working fine, right?
no, if it is a split scope, then it should show on both servers. Okay, so Zishan, can you, I'm not
Yes,
able
sir.
to
Yes,
click this. Can
sir.
you
I
show
have
me the
approved it.
address pool? Can you click just on the address pool on your screen? Address pool right under the scope.
This one, sir.
Yeah, so here I can see it is from 1 to 254, and exclusion is 1 to 10, and then it is The exclusion is 204 to 254, meaning that this is a split scope. So from 1 to 203 is part of the first server, and 204 to 255 is part of the second server. And now go to the first server. Here, let's look at the pool, address pool. Yes. So here, this is, yeah, so this is fine. Your split scope is working fine. I mean, it is configured correctly.
Yes, sir. But this one is simple scope, right, sir? That one is a split scope.
Oh, okay, hold on.
Yeah.
So simple scope meaning is of one set of IP addresses. Okay, which
Yes,
means
sir.
that if I create just a simple scope, that will be from okay, hold on, someone is, I guess, stuck, not connecting to the Zoom
So
meeting.
Naveed by saying recording, sir. So
Oh yes, okay.
yeah.
Yes, it is being recorded. Okay, so normal scope is that we create one subnet, and there is no, it's not split. Okay,
Yes,
but
sir.
split scope is that when we divide that scope into two, so then
Two subnets,
automatically
sir.
it half of the scope is here and half of the scope is on the other side.
Okay. Means a two subnet.
uh, Meaning just one subnet and two
With
and divided
yeah,
into two.
two. Yeah. I mean, sir, like two, for example, 150 users is in one, like one
On
scope
server
and
one and 150
you,
user on server two. Yes.
yes. Okay.
So now what is the issue? You're not seeing that it's working?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's look at this. So can you show me your client machine? Start the client machine, please. Now, in order for these scopes to work, we all know that we need to make sure all of the basics are fine. Servers are pinging, firewalls are off, and everything.
Yes, sir.
So now you're logged into the client machine and see what is the IP address on this. You know, it's better to go to, okay, yeah, you can go from here, but you can go to command prompt and just check the IP address.
Okay. Sorry, sir. Sir, just a moment. I'm going to command prompt.
Yes. Okay. It is getting, so it's getting an IP address from your DHCP. Do you see
Okay.
that this is from your first scope, the other scope?
Yes, sir.
So it's working.
I think, sir, there is also another way to check all the things.
Alamgir, what are you asking? Is there another way to check?
Yes.
So what is to check? Is it getting IP address from DHCP or not?
Oh, yes, sir.
So the only other way to check is that go to the DHCP server and go to address lease. So Zishan, can you go to server two, and go to this scope, the second one, not this one. Yeah, this one, because it got the IP address from 100 scope, and go to address lease. So this is not the machine. Okay,
For the
now
client
go to client machine again and check if it is a static IP address. So go to your network card settings, where where you do the IP config.
Yes, sir. I'm going. Okay.
No, not IP config. Sorry, the network card. Go to the network
Okay.
card properties. So maybe it might be it's a static IP address. Yeah, properties. So yes.
Yes, sir. It's a static.
Okay, so we have not yet. So yeah, it's a static. Okay, change this to a DHCP. And now let's try.
you can go from here too, sir.
Yeah, you can go from there as well.
Yeah.
But no, so since now you have closed it, just open command prompt on the client machine and renew the IP address. So Zishan, you understand that we just disabled the static IP
Yes, sir.
address, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay,
That I
now
have.
we need to request a new IP address by just typing ipconfig
Okay.
space /renew. Enter. So now here it's running the DORA process. It's looking for, so, okay. So now this shows that there are two DHCPs, one from VMware and one yours, but VMware is provided that IP address first. So that
Right.
means we need to go and disable the VMware DHCP. Okay.
Okay.
And for that, you need to go to edit in the VMware workstation. Leave this open. Okay, it's fine. You don't have to close every time.
Okay.
Not here, not here, not here. So go to the edit at the top where you see VMware workstation menu.
Yeah. Sir. Yes.
Okay, now, yeah, go to virtual network editor. Go to this. It will open probably maybe on your other screen if you have two screens.
Yes, sir. Now it's open.
Okay. Yeah, because Zishan, we are seeing a little bit of delay here. So maybe it is open for you, but we are not able
Okay.
to see
No
that.
problem.
So
Okay, sir. So now it's showing, sir, connect or net, host only and net.
can you bring it to this screen? Because maybe it's on your other screen.
Okay, sir. I will show you.
Do you have two screens?
No, sir. I have,
You have one laptop
yeah, one laptop, sir.
and you don't have any other additional screen.
No, sir. Right now I am with the cell phone.
Okay, okay, that's fine. So click on edit again, one more time. So go into VMware Workstation and click on edit.
Sir, workstation client or sir?
And no, right here.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you're on server 3 now. Which server are you on?
No, right now, sir, I've go to edit, sir. I'm from edit, but right now I'm client, sir. Client.
Okay, that's fine. But can you click on edit again? So go to
Ed-
the top menu and click on edit again and click on
Okay.
network.
Right, sir.
Yes, virtual network editor one more time, because
Okay.
probably might not, was not open.
Now it's showing, sir.
It is showing, you can see that?
Yeah, but in your system, sir, it's showing my Ethernet, right?
Yeah, we can just see your Ethernet card. We cannot see the,
Sir, I will try to again share the screen.
okay. Oh, you're only sharing this VMware. That's why you need to share your complete screen. Or maybe you can unshare. You can click on not share and just share that
Right, sir.
network editor.
Now it's showing, sir.
No. So Zishan, yeah, now we can see that. Now we can.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So here, click on NAT, the up network NAT,
Yes, sir.
and click on change settings from the bottom. Okay, first of all, I want you to look at this. I want you to look at this. Remember
Yes,
the
sir.
IP address that we saw on client one is from this range, from
Yes.
192, 168, 126.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
that
exactly.
means that as soon as the client wanted an IP address, it broadcasted itself saying that I need an IP address. So the first
Right.
DHCP that replied is the VMware DHCP.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that is why it got the IP address from this DHCP. Now we will disable this DHCP so that your DHCP can respond. Okay. So
Right.
in doing that, click on change settings. So
Okay.
the change setting is right there. Yeah. And once it comes back, then we will disable DHCP on this NAT. So click on NAT again. First click on NAT and now
Yes,
go.
sir.
Yes, just no. Go ahead. No, not this one. Just click on NAT.
Now it's Now it's showing, sir, host only, and this one is
Yeah, I
enable
can
this
see your
IP.
screen. I can see your
Yes.
screen. So you
Yes, sir.
just change from NAT to host. So just change it to back to NAT.
Okay. Right.
Okay. Now go down the second checkbox, uncheck, where it says use local DHCP server service to distribute IP. Just uncheck this
Right.
and now apply. So now we have disabled the VMware workstation DHCP so that it shouldn't provide any IP address. Okay.
Okay.
We'll wait. And now open command prompt on client one again and just release and renew. Just you need to release that IP address and renew.
Okay, sir. Command prompt
Yes,
IP
just
conflict
type here ipconfig.
space
Yes, space
release.
slash release. And now say renew. No, ipconfig. Ipconfig.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Now 172.168.100.10.12.
Excellent. Excellent. So
Yeah.
that means your DHCP configuration was proper. Nothing wrong with that. It
Mm-hmm.
was just that the VMware was giving its own IP address and your DHCP was not providing the IP address. But your DHCP is configured properly, your client immediately got an IP address. Now, if you go
Mm-hmm.
to server 2 and check the
Okay.
address lease, then you should be able to see that IP address.
Address list, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Not on this one, the other scope. So refresh this. Yes, and go back to that address lease again. Okay, so it's not here. Go to server 1. Now where is it getting this IP address if it is not getting from these two? Okay, go to client.
Yes, sir.
So it's clear that it got the IP address from your DHCP.
Yes, sir.
One
Can I
sec.
start to local or
But it is not appearing on your DHCP. So go to, so you don't have any other DHCP on server 3 or anywhere.
no, sir?
Okay. There is,
DHCP server, this DC1 and DC2, sir.
okay, that's fine.
Adnan bhai, is it picking up the scope, the first scope instead of the split scope, maybe? Or no,
Yeah,
actually, never mind.
yeah,
We
it's not
deleted
getting
that
it
one,
from
right?
the split scope. It's just getting it from the normal scope that is
The
on
regular scope.
DC2.
Okay.
So your split scope is 200. The network is 168.200, whereas the normal scope is 168.100. So it got the
Yes.
IP address. We just want to see that from which scope it got the IP address. So go to DC2, and here in this list, we should be able to see that what. So just refresh on this list. Just keep selected and refresh this. Yeah, it's right here now. Good.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Now it's
So it was just a matter of refreshing it. So now so everything is fine on your computer.
right. And sir, what is the purpose of this super scope, sir?
Yes. So main purpose. So there is no super scope. I don't see any super scope here at
Yes,
the
sir.
moment, right?
Yeah.
So main
Yeah.
purpose of a super scope is when we need to extend the range of IP addresses in one subnet. Then we have super scope. Okay.
Okay.
So which
For,
means
for example, sir, for example, this 172.168.100.1 or 0. And the second scope is 172.168 and 1.0.
yeah, you
I'm
can, yes. So
I
that
mean
will be two subnets in one scope.
yeah, I mean two subnets. Like
Yes,
if I'm using 254 IPs and then again second subnet I'm using with 254
exactly,
IP.
exactly.
Yeah.
So when you
Okay.
need more IP address than 254 IP addresses, then we add another subnet. So
Okay.
that
Okay.
means it became a super scope.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. Right.
I mean, if
Okay.
we try to understand that on a very simple example, let's say there are 8 seats in a class and only
Okay.
8 students can sit in. Now we
Right.
need to bring 4 more students and there are
Right.
no seats. So what we do, we bring in 4 more seats in the same
Right.
class and now it became 12 seats, which means that now it's a super class or it's a super scope because you added more IP addresses in that
Mhm.
or more students in that. So when you have two
Okay.
subnets in the same scope, that scope is known as a super scope.
Understood, sir. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
So
Right.
I have a question.
Yes, please go ahead.
If you have a like simple scope, and then you have a maybe split scope, and then you have a
Right.
scope. So how do you identify that this client is getting either from super scope like IP address or from split or from like simple one?
Right. So it's very simple. Why? Because client will only get one IP address, number one. Okay. And all the scopes will have different subnets. So if it is a split scope, it might be 100.0. If it is a normal scope, it might be 200.0. And if it is so, and if it is a super scope, then even there, the subnet will be different. So we need to check the client that where did it, so what is the IP address on the client? So whatever the IP address on the client, then we know that it's getting it either from split scope, super scope, because all scopes are different. But I think your question is that how do you basically force one scope to work in one place, and so that this area can only get an IP address from simple scope, and it shouldn't get it from split scope, or it
Yeah,
shouldn't get it from super scope. Is that your what your
yeah,
question is?
yeah.
Okay, so that happens on the network layer. That happens on the network layer. Let's say a building has 4 floors. So how do we restrict each scope on each floor so that third floor can only get IP address from 200 and second floor can only get IP address from super scope. So 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 for I mean this is done on the network side.
So like I was able to create everything, but it's still a little confusion for me. Uh, like I can check like it got from like scopes. The client, got this address from the
Right.
scope.
You
But
can see that it is getting from which scope. Yes, continue,
if
please.
you like, if you can just peep through, that will be, I think, better, and it will be more clear to me. Uh,
Right. So you want
and,
to share your screen?
yes, please.
So Zishan, you need to unshare your screen. You need to
Okay, sir. Okay, okay,
disconnect. Yes.
okay.
So Alamgir, you can share your screen. Yes.
So, like, if you check here, I made like some scopes here too, right? So in the second one, I can like see split scope here, which is 168.00, right? So here we can see here too. Uh, so is that the split scope, right, sir? But
Uh, so first of all, these are all part of super scope. So they are
yeah,
all part of the super scope.
okay. But like the address I am getting here, I'm not sure which like scope I am getting from,
Okay. Okay. Show me the
So
IP address, please.
so so if you just check here, so you can see IP address and then this one, and then I just got right now, like maybe 5-10 minutes ago.
Okay.
So you can see the timing.
That's fine. So it is getting the IP address from 10.14. So let's go to your DHCP.
Okay.
So there is no 10 scope here. Is there any other DHCP on your in your
Uh,
network?
yes, this one was the second one, which I made a split one.
Okay. And can you show me address pool?
Sure.
This is not, this is two. So whenever we look at the scope, always look at the last two octets. So this scope is 2.1. Okay.
Yeah.
So now go to your DHCP, the second DHCP, the first DHCP actually. So here, can you, enlarge the screen, make it bigger, please?
Sure.
Yes. So here we can see, first of all, I can see that there are one super scope and three scopes. And the first subnet is 0.0, second is 2.0, third is 2.0, but they're all different type of subnets. So 172, 175, 192.
Because it was like contradicting, it was saying, oh, you are contradicting it.
Oh,
So
you're
change the
conflicting.
class. So when I changed the class, it was okay.
Okay, okay. So always, first of all, whenever you need to create a second scope or second subnet, we always change the third octet. We don't change the first octet. Okay, if you would have changed the third, I mean, 0, 1,
So,
2, 3, then you can keep the same subnet. But this is fine as well. This should work too. I'm not, expand these three scopes. So first one, second one, and third one. No, no, not this one.
oh, sorry. There you
Okay. So, so, so there is 177, there is 192, there is 175, there is 172. Okay. And click on address lease on the first one.
go.
Okay.
Yeah, phase one. Too.
Ah, okay, 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 okay. Okay. I've not seen, I mean, this is the most complex DHCP configuration I've ever seen on any student screen. How do you come up with this architecture, Alamgir? I mean,
Uh,
I know that you're trying, but you made it very complex. Okay, so now let's look at this here. Your client got the IP address from this scope, okay?
yeah.
And the scope starts from 0.0, but the client got an IP address from 10.0.
10, I think, right?
Yes, 10.0. The reason is that your scope is too big. I mean, it's a huge scope. Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. So what I would suggest at this point, mm, I'm
Sir,
just thinking, I'm just
sir,
thinking that if I should explain this and make it
sir,
more
I'm also
complex.
confused because still I have also doubts, sir. And if I'm seeing this kind of DHCP, so it make me confused, sir.
No, that's what I'm thinking. Should I
Yes,
explain
sir.
this, or should we just delete and create a simple DHCP? I think
That's fine.
we
Yes,
should
sir.
delete
That's good.
and create a simple DHCP.
Yes,
Alamgir,
sir.
take a screenshot of this. If you want, after the lecture, I'll explain this to you why this happened. But in very simple words, if I try to explain this, your scope is huge. Your scope is huge. I mean, this 172.168.0.0 has IP addresses, has 64,000 IP addresses. Okay. And
Oh,
that is why it's just taking it from 10.0, and all the other clients, if you keep on, if you maybe if you might have 10 clients getting IP address, they will have IP addresses from everywhere. Okay.
okay. So
So
simply, sir, I just need to change the third optic. Uh, like if I'm creating like three scopes, so I just need to do like one, two, three, right?
yes, you need to do 1, 2, 3, and instead of just changing the first octet.
Okay. And what about, sir, like super scope? I can like after making this one, if I make them super scope, right? So what about then like a simple scope?
Yes.
So
So first of all, the architecture should be is that we can create a simple scope and then we create a super scope. Okay. So here, let's do this first. Delete this scope. So just simply right click on this, the first one, and delete. Just let it go. And so super scope is deleted. Now you have simple scopes. So delete all the scopes, this scope as well. So your DHCP is working fine, which means that your network is fine, everything is fine. It's just that we need to create a simple configuration. And this one, oh, two. Now create one simple scope based on your own. First of all, what is your IP address? What is the scope what is the subnet you're using in this network? Is it 172.168.100.0,
uh,
right?
no, sir, I think it's a different one.
So go to any server, go to the server and go to the local IP address. Yeah.
Okay.
So it is 10.10.
Yeah, 10.
Okay, so that is fine. So also on your second server, delete the scope.
So I didn't like create on the second server, sir. So, but it came just as a backup, right? So still, like we need to delete them.
Yes, delete this scope because we are just cleaning up everything in DHCP and trying and starting fresh.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. Now go to server number 1. No, no, we're not deleting DHCP. DHCP
No,
will
no,
be
I'm
there. Yes.
creating, sir.
Okay. What are you creating?
You said create another one scope, right?
Okay. Okay, hold on here, please. Just hold on. So look at your taskbar. There are three DHCP managers open. So, and this is for everyone. And I understand that since we are starting new, everyone, always you don't have to open managers again because it's there on your taskbar. So look at your taskbar, Alamgir, go down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's already open. So every time you don't need to open.
Okay.
Okay, so now, so this is just that because you had it open and refresh. And delete, there is one more scope. Okay, it's done. It's done. So now right click on this and create a new scope. So everyone, whenever we start with DHCP, we start with a simple scope. So you can name it anything, maybe building 1, floor 1. And next.
What is this description used for, sir?
Okay, so this description is only used for so that we know where this scope will be used. So let's say if you have a building with 5 floors, then how do you know that which scope is for which building?
Uh, Maybe on one floor there's a lab, on the other scope like floor maybe there's a uh, IT department or something like this,
Exactly. On each floor, there are different departments, maybe
But most,
finance, marketing. So we can name them according to that. But for our purpose, we're just saying it's building 1 and floor 1. Otherwise, we would have said this is for finance department or this is
oh,
for call center.
sure.
Okay, now here, yes.
So it's
Hun-
10 up there,
So
right?
this is 10, yes.
And my IP address is 10. So I should exclude 10, start from
No,
11.
we will exclude that in the other screen, but here we need to start with all IP addresses. So 10.1, no, change, yeah, 1 to 254, 172.
Even you can choose like sir here maybe if you just want to choose like maybe 4950, you can, or you have
You
to like.
can, you can, you enter the range of the addresses in the scope. Yes, you can choose that, but the proper way is to exclude them. So we'll use the complete subnet and then exclude them.
Sure.
Okay, now
The
here,
subnet is incomplete. Like Alamgir by subnet is wrong in the 255 255 255.
okay, change 16 to 24. Just change 16 to 24. This will be fine.
Okay.
So you know where 16, yeah. Just change
Yeah.
it to 24.
Oh.
Yes.
Yes.
So exclude from 10 to.
No, 1 to 20. 1 to 20. So not just 10. You're excluding all the first 10 IP addresses, right? Or maybe first 20 IP addresses.
So what about the sir last IP addresses? Oh, okay, I got it.
So then you
Got it.
will create another exclusion.
Oh, okay, I got it. Sorry for that.
So the second exclusion, hold on. So this will be from 240 to 254. So first 20 and last 15. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, sir.
And Armgir, why are we excluding these IP addresses?
Yes, sir, because maybe we need for the management these addresses.
Exactly, exactly. Very good. 254 and add. Lease is 8 days. It's fine. Oh, no, no, no. Why are you changing this? Leave it 8 days. Yes. Next and next and next. Here, DNS is automatically taken by your server. So next.
Okay. So by the way, why you use this server name? The like same server names you use it.
Yes. So this is, I mean, first of all, it automatically knows that what is your DNS server. But let's say if in your environment there are more DNS server, then we can search, then we can use a server name as well.
Oh, okay. Thank you, sir.
You're most welcome. And next, nothing here. We don't use wins and create a scope and done. So
By the
expand
what is Win,
IPv4.
sir? Sorry, like just getting some more questions as well. What is Wins?
Yes, Wins is Windows Internet naming server. Wins, WINS. But it was very old service. It's not used anymore. So it's
Yes.
just here for backward compatibility.
So, okay.
Now refresh this
Yeah.
and it's fine. Okay. So now go to the client machine. But first of all, expand the scope and check the address leads. So this is fine. Yes. Go to address leads.
Okay. That's the.
So it's empty. Now go to the client machine and release and renew.
Do I need to go and change a dynamic to static, sir, or leave it here?
Yes, you have to, but it's already on DHCP.
So you
Sir,
want me to change the
this
static before you start the command?
No, no, you don't need static.
Okay, thank
It should be like that.
Sir, my question is this scope, whatever we are generating in the server, that is totally for the clients. That's why we are releasing client or renewing.
Exactly, exactly. It's not for the servers. It's only for
Okay, right,
clients.
right. Okay, sir.
Adnan bhai, just on that note, when we actually, set the IP to DHCP in the DNS server, it comes as 127.0.0.0. What's that the representation of?
So on the client machine, when it says, you're talking about the client machine?
No, it's I think so. It was the no, actually, I think so. It was the server one, and we disabled the static IP on it. But like in the DNS, it picked up 127.0.0.0. I've actually seen it even in.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. So that IP address is known as loopback address. So
Oh, loopback. Okay,
yeah, that
perfect.
only comes on a DNS settings. It doesn't, you will never see it in the IP address.
Okay, makes sense.
So loopback address simply means that it's its own IP address.
Okay, so basically, it did not really get an IP address, and it just kind of is looping essentially, right?
No, 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 no. Loopback address is simply it's pointing to itself. So 127.0.0.1 is only used when you need to check your own network card. So let's say you're trying to ping someone and it's not pinging, but now you need to check your own network card functionality. So what we do, we ping 127.0.0.1 that basically checks its own functionality. It's looping to itself.
Yes, sir. You are right, sir. That IP was VMware IP, sir. 127. That one which you are talking about.
Right. It is.
Yeah.
Still unable, sir. I checked it.
So it's saying error occurred while renewing interface DHCP. Okay, so now, oh, okay, so this is your client machine, right?
Yes, sir.
This is, so restart this machine. There is something wrong with the card. So restart this machine.
I
Okay.
had little bit confusion of or like extracting the IP like addresses. So now it's clear. So I'm good, sir.
Okay,
Everything
good.
clear
So
now.
you can disconnect. You can disconnect.
Thank you very much.
Adnan bhai, sorry, I'm just going to interrupt. My computer kind of just lagged the time when they were asking the question about how we specify that the client computer is going to take a specific scope IP address. How do you
Oh
specify
yes.
that?
Okay. So that is a work of, that is basically a work of a network engineer. So they do it on the router and switch level. So they would just configure the IP addresses on the router and switch level, that which floor, which building will get which IP address. So
Oh,
our
essentially, so
job,
basically, you go into the router setting, sorry, or switch settings, and you basically copy the MAC address and assign them a specific IP, just basically static IPs, right?
exactly. So they do it
Okay.
from the network
Okay.
side. We cannot
Makes
control.
sense.
Yes.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, everyone. So what is the time now? I'm just looking at the time here.
Here, missed it.
7:32. Okay. Uh, so just a second. I'm just looking at. Okay. So guys, today we are starting DNS. So DNS, one word for DNS is name resolution. So far what we have learned is IP address implementation. And then we learned DHCP. DHCP, one word is automatic. It provides automatic IP addresses. And DNS is name resolution. DNS is used for name resolution. So in this chapter, we are going to go through implementing DNS, configuring zones in DNS, configuring name resolution between DNS zones, and DNS integration with Active Directory, configuring advanced DNS settings. So lesson number one. So first of all, how does DNS name resolution work? So it's right here on the screen. A host name is the computer name that is added to the domain name and top level domain to make fully qualified domain names. And okay, so this has its own way of explaining. So I'm gonna go to, so first of all, okay, going back to our whiteboard to understand this concept. Before that, this is the setting that we do every day. So this is the setting, and DNS setting is right here. DNS setting is right here. It's saying use the following DNS server, and today we'll be configuring this DNS server. Okay, so few things before we get the concept here. We are trying to understand the concept. Before that, let's go through some really basics about DNS. First of all, DNS stands for Domain Name System, and sometimes it is also referred to as Domain Name Service. So I'm just looking here. DNS. So domain name system, okay? And in some places it is also refers to as domain name service. So what is the main function of a domain name system? We will refer to this as domain name system. So domain name system is right here. If you're looking at the screen, So guys, everyone, I need your attention. I need your attention. We are working, we are trying to now understand a very, very important concept, and that is DNS. So guys, I know that there might be some confusions around DHCP. It's fine. If you're able to understand like 40, 50, or 60%, so that is fine for now. That will be fine. So as we go on and understanding and start understanding more and more services, this all will make sense. Since so if you are able to understand DHCP 50% or 60%, that will be excellent for now. So if there are any confusions, because there are so many options, there are so many configurations, then this will be all cleared out later on once we start moving into this. So first of all, what is a DNS? DNS is a service that translates names to IP address. So that translate names to IP address. If you're looking at the screen, everyone, can you please type yes in the chat window if you're looking at the screen? Okay, thank you. Okay, very good. Excellent. So guys, here DNS stands for domain name system, number one, and here this picture speaks 1,000 words. So if you're able to understand this picture, that is what DNS is. You go onto a browser and you're looking for a website called example.com. This information goes to a DNS server, and what DNS server does, DNS server just replies back with the IP address, because computers, when they speak to each other, they speak through the IP address. So you can think of their language is IP address. Their language is IP address, so they speak through IP address. Computers cannot communicate with names. The names are for us humans, so we remember websites by name. If we would have think of if we would have had to remember IP addresses for each website, then it would have been very, very, very difficult for all of us to remember so many websites and so many things. So this is why DNS server was invented. The DNS stands for domain name system. And the main purpose is that whenever we try to connect to any machine by name, then what happens is the IP address is sent, sorry, the name is sent to the DNS server, and server simply goes into the list and checks what is the name of the IP address against it, and it replies back with the IP address. So this is a very simple concept. Let's look at this here as well. So in this case, here you see that on this user is trying to get to example.com, and as soon as the so first of all, user goes try to go onto this, then this client will send this request to a DNS server. Now your first question is that how the client knows where to send the request. Guys, this is where we see that, it sends the request because of the DNS setting with the IP address. So remember that all our network cards have DNS settings, and we say on the DNS setting 172.168.10.10. So this is where it knows that whenever the computer is trying to connect to a name, that request will always go to a DNS server. Now let's say if that DNS setting is empty. If the DNS settings that we do on the server is empty on the client machine, then the client will never be able to resolve name to IP address. So at the same time, I'm going to start all my servers so that we can see. So the key to DNS is that all the clients, all of the servers need to have DNS settings. So DNS setting, so what happens is user goes to the website, the request goes to a DNS server, and this is a DNS server here. And DNS server has a list of names and IP addresses. So DNS has a list of names and IP address. DNS goes into the list and see that if that IP name exists in the DNS server, it replies back with the IP address. But let's say if your DNS server doesn't have that name in the list, if your DNS server doesn't have that name in the list, so what it does then, it forwards that request to a DNS root name server. And root name server, the request goes to a root name server. If that has it, then it replies back to the server that this is you need to go to this other server, and then it sends to another server until it finds the name and IP address. Okay, look at this example. Here, user is trying to go to Amazon.com. As soon as user goes into the Chrome and tries to connect to Amazon.com, the request goes to a web server. First of all, because it's the website, and from here it goes to a DNS server saying that what is the IP address. So it goes, and DNS server has the list that has names and IP address. So, and then it replies back with the IP address, and this is how the user connects to a website. Okay, so having said that, very simple, in very simple words, first of all, let's see what is DNS stands for. So here, DNS stands for domain name system. Domain name system, what is the function? It is name to IP resolution. So it is name to IP resolution. So it just translates names to IP address. That's the main purpose of DNS. Okay, if DNS service is not there, then we won't be able to use any internet. We won't be able to, I mean, we can use internet only by IP addresses. So for example, if I go to a website right here and my computer automatically goes to the last used website, or maybe the first website that where we connect to. So I'm trying to connect to google.com. Now this google.com, basically it is trying to connect, it is trying to connect to it, so it is trying to connect to a google.com server somewhere on the internet. But this google.com needs to be converted to IP address so that this computer can connect to the server, because computers can only understand IP addresses. They don't understand name. So this is why DNS service is there. Now let's see that if I am able to find the IP address of this. So all I need to do is go to CMD and open command prompt, and I will try to ping google.com. So once I'm here, I can say ping google.com. As soon as I ping this, it won't, but so I need to use the complete name, which is www.google.com. And that is, so the IP address of this server is this. So if I take this IP address, and let's say if I can, sometimes there are securities, you cannot directly connect to IP address. But let's say if I directly connect to this IP address, so I will copy this, open another browser, and paste this here and connect. So it automatically translates to google.com. So even if let me try another website, maybe it got it from the home page. So I will go to, actually, so I will find the IP address of msn.com. So ping. So MSN IP address is this. So I will select this IP address and paste it here. So this time, without going to the name, I'll just go to this IP address. So as soon as I go there, it is, our service aren't available right now. It's saying, and what was the IP address here? It's the same IP address. Okay. So that's where I said that there are sometimes securities. They won't directly let connect users connecting to direct IP address because of security reasons, because there are hacking applications that can connect to it. Okay. So let's go on to the whiteboard and see that what is actually DNS. Okay. So on this, let's first. So number one, today we are understanding everyone what is DNS. DNS is a domain name system, and so DNS is DNS domain name system. Domain name system. So what is the understanding? So what is one word for Active Directory, everyone? If we can understand, if we can remember.
Authentication.
Authentication. Sorry. Go
Excellent,
ahead.
excellent, very good. What is one word for DHCP?
Dynamic host configuration.
Yes, so DHCP stands for Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. That's fine.
Yeah.
But one word for understanding, it provides automatic IP address. And Active Directory does authentication. So one word, and one word for, I mean, one liner, I would say, for DNS is name to IP resolution. So the main purpose of DNS is name to IP resolution. And why name to IP resolution? Because computers understand IP address and humans understand names. So we understand names. So this is why we need someone to translate where do you want to go to. That's basically very simple about DNS. And how DNS works is like this. So first of all, there is a client machine. So let's have a client machine, two client machines here, and there are two users on this. So what are we understanding? We are trying to understand DNS. So first of all, in order to connect two machines together, we need networking, right? So let's start very simple with just a switch and two machines. So if this computer needs to connect to this computer, then first of all, what do you need? You need to have basic networking. So you need to have a switch. So you need to have a switch, and then you need to have these network cables, and then there is a network card. And then what is the next very important thing on these two computers to connect together is IP address. So you need to provide an IP address so that they can talk to each other. So first of all, this PC name is PC1 and this computer name is PC2. And then in order for these computers to connect to each other, we need an IP address. So then you go in the computer and provide static IP address. For now, we are not talking about DHCP. This is all static IP address. So here, then we go into this first computer and we set up an IP address called 192.168. And this is, let's say, this is 10.20, this IP address. And on this computer, it is 192.168 10.22. So this IP address. Now, in order for these two computers to connect to each other, so this user needs to connect to this machine. Maybe why does the user needs to connect to this machine? Because maybe user has to send some file. So user one asks user two, what is your computer name? Or what is your IP address? So user two provides an IP address, and user two will go into his machine and connect to this machine, and then copies a file from this computer to this computer by just IP address. Okay. Now these are just two users that are connecting to each other, and it's easy for them to just exchange the IP addresses. But what if there are 500 computers and 500 computers needs to connect to each other? So in large company, it's I mean, it's every day. Computer needs to connect to other computers. So this is one example where I'm just showing you that two computers needs to connect together and they are going by IP address. They cannot go by name because there is no DNS service. There is no one to translate. We don't have DNS service in this. So they are going by IP address. And how do they go by IP address? Or this user needs to do go into command prompt and type this IP address with double backslash. So as soon as the user says double backslash, user will be able to connect. So let's try on my first server that if I need to connect from this server to second server, first of all, I'll log in. and I will log into the other server as well so that I know the IP address. We are simulating that user 1 wants to send a file to user 2. So I am connecting to server 1. So first of all, when user 1 calls user 2 that I need your IP address so that I can connect to you. So user 2 goes into his own machine and looks at the IP address, whatever the IP address of the machine is given to user number 2, user number 1, and user 1. So for example, this what is that? We know that these are servers. And if I'm just showing you how do you connect to another computer by IP address, simple IP address. So I let these machines load. So IP address on server 1 is 10.10 and IP address on server 2 is, I guess, 10.20 or 10.12. So this is 10.12. So if I need to connect from server 1 to server 2 just by IP address, all I need to do is I'll go to start. So I will go to start, and here I would just say double backslash. So two slashes and the IP address of the other machine. So 192.168.10.12. Okay, hold on. I'll try again. So double backslash. It's not letting me type the IP address. I'll just type it here. So double backslash. Okay. Okay. So sometimes, it happens, and sometimes it just doesn't let. As soon as I press dot, it's just closing the screen. So I'm gonna type it here. So and I am going to copy this to so there are other ways to do the things, this. Sometimes it does these weird things. So I'm trying to connect from server 1. As you can see here, I'm on server 1. I'm trying to connect to the other server simply by IP address. I will say double backslash. Double backslash simply means go to the network. So these two slashes means go to the network. And then the IP address of the other machine and enter. As soon as I do that, it connects to the other server. So if there is any share folder, I can connect to the other server from here. Okay, so this is how I connect to the other server. Now in real environments, it's not easy for you to remember all the IP addresses and all of the names. What if there are other computers on the network? So if we talk about other computers, so there are these other computers available. So computer number 1 and copy, 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 copy. So there are all these computers that needs to be connected. So I'm gonna move it right here, computer 2, computer 3, and they all have IP addresses. Now, in order to connect to all these computers, there has to be some automatic system that can translate names to IP address. Because if PC user number 1 needs to connect to all these computers at different times or a different for different purpose, then every time user 1 needs to remember this IP address. So this this is why we have DNS service. In DNS service, what happens is we create a server, we create a new server. For a DNS server to work, it has to be a server's operating system. You cannot install DNS on a client machine. The DNS has to be a server. First of all, it has to be a server. So server 2016, server 2016 first. And secondly, we install a service called DNS. And as soon as we install a service called DNS, this service is basically a role inside a server, just like you install DHCP. And what it does, DNS creates a list in the server. So now we are looking at what is DNS. DNS creates a list in the server. And that list simply says that PC1 has IP address 192.168 and 10.20. And PC2 has 192.168.10.12, and so on. So 22 in our example. So right here, so this is PC1, PC2, and so on. It has a list of all of the machines with IP address. So simple question is, what is in DNS that has that can convert names to IP address? I mean, what is in what service in DNS, or how does DNS convert names to IP address? The answer is it has a list. It has this list, and this list is automatically maintained. As soon as you join a computer into Active Directory, this name will be automatically registered in DNS. You join this computer, and this computer is, let's say this is PC3, and the IP address is 192.168 10.51. This name will be automatically goes and registered in DHC in DNS. So DNS has names to IP address, and this is how it will work now. So as soon as, so this will be on the network, as soon as user wants to connect to user 2, now user 1 can, so in this case, this is, I'm going to say this is user 1 and this is user 2. Now, since we have DNS server and a list as well, so your question might be, do we have to maintain this list? Answer is no, we don't have to maintain this list. This list will be automatically maintained. Long time back, we used to maintain this list manually. I mean, before even server 2008, we used to maintain this list, and every time when a new machine used to, you bring a new computer to a network, we have to make sure that the name exists in DNS. So now, since we have a DNS server, we do have a list inside that has the names and IP address. Now user 1 doesn't need to remember the IP address. So user 1 only needs to ask user 2, what is your computer name? So in it, so user 2 would say, my computer name is PC2. So what does, so user 1 goes to his command prompt and says /PC2. As soon as user runs this command, just like I showed you that we can run /IP address, this time user doesn't have to remember IP address. So this information computer understands, since this is a name, this request should go to a DHCP server. So first of all, this request goes to right here, number 1, going to DNS server saying that what is the IP address of PC2. So it goes to the list. No, this is not the one. Okay, this is the one. And it takes this IP address and provides it back to the client saying that PC2 IP address is 192.168.10.22. And from here, the client knows the IP address and client will connect to the PC. So this is step number 3. So step number 2 was that DNS replies back, and step number 3, DNS connects to the client with IP address. So that is what DNS is.
Sir, I have a question.
Any questions so far?
Sir, can you hear me? Sir, can you hear me?
Okay.
Hello?
Where is it?
Sim is trying to ask question, but I think he's not coming through.
Oh, Wasim, we cannot hear Wasim. Yeah.
Nobody can hear me except the 55.
Okay, so in here we can say Maybe,
Can
Wasim,
you hear me?
can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can
Okay.
you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you too. Do you have a question?
Yeah, sir. I even though it's clear, but I think is there any difference between web server and DNS server?
Uh, Sorry, can you repeat your question, please, one more
Is
time?
there a difference between the web server and the DNS server?
Yes. So the question is there a difference between a WINS server and a DNS server? Yes. So since we are here, and let me explain what is WINS as well. So WINS is right here. So the question is about, so we are talking about DNS, and we used to have a long time back, we used to have this service called WINS. DNS stands for domain name system, whereas WINS stands for windows internet Internet Naming Server. So this was a naming server too. This was a naming server too. So DNS is a naming server, so this is a domain name, so this is domain name system, and that is called Windows Internet Naming Server. Now, both does exactly the same function. Both does exactly the same function. Uh, so Asher is asking, did he say Win server or web server? I think the question was about Win server, and and Wasim can Wasim. So you're asking about Win server or a web server? Wasim, okay. Oh, it's regarding the web server, right? Okay. Okay. Just
He's
okay.
just fixing his mic actually. So yeah, he did ask between the web server and the local DNS server.
Okay, so the question is about the web server. Okay, so that's fine. I'll explain the web server, but this difference needs to be, I mean, we need to know this difference as well. And I will, so if the question is about web server, I'll come back to this in a moment. Okay, so, but for interview purposes, we need to know a little bit about a Win server. So, and in just 2 minutes, it will be 100% clear. So first of all, there are two naming servers. There used to be two naming servers. There is something called DNS service. There's something called WIN service. So DNS service is domain name system, whereas WIN service is Windows Internet Naming Server. Now this service is old. First of all, this is removed now. Nobody uses it. This is a new service. Now the only difference between the two is, so they
When
both
did they
function.
retire it, Adnan bhai?
Sorry.
When did they retire it?
It's not, it's actually not retired. It is still part of the system. As you can see, when we were setting up DHCP, this option came in DHCP options.
Oh, right.
So it's actually officially not retired, but nobody uses it. Okay.
Okay.
But then what is the main purpose? The main purpose is the same. So DNS is a server with a list of all the names and IP addresses. So it keeps a list of names and IP addresses. And Vince is also the same server. Vince has exactly the same service. So this is, in order to create a Vince server, you will need to have a server, then add a service, and then it will keep a list of names and IP addresses. So both function exactly the same, but there was a small problem with the Win server. Win server can only work with Windows servers. So Win server cannot work with Unix servers. Win server cannot work with Linux servers or AIX servers or any other operating system. Linux servers or Unix servers. So it cannot work with these servers, only works with Windows Server. And DNS on the other side, it can service any type of operating system. So it can work with Windows servers, it can work with Unix servers, it can work with Linux servers, and it can work with all of them. So now you see the difference, that both are exactly the same services, but Wins was only used for Windows servers since it was owned by Microsoft. So Microsoft owned it. It is a proprietary system for Microsoft. So Microsoft stopped using it. Why? Because there are many other services that are on other type of servers that this Wins cannot support. For that reason, now Wins is not in use. So all of the companies, all the website, everywhere, it's now DNS is used. So I mean, at that point when they started working with Wins, Microsoft came up with their own service, and in the world at that point, DNS was in use. So DNS was first time invented by Unix. So they invented DNS at that point, and Wins was invented by Microsoft. So I'm talking about like 10, 15 years back. So at that point, Microsoft realized, throughout the world on internet, DNS is used. So they should stop using Wins, and they did stop using Wins. But they have this option available just for some backward compatibility if there are any applications that are required. Okay. Now going back to the difference between a DNS and a web server. What is the connection between DNS and a web server? Guys, web servers are servers that host websites. So so both are servers. So both are server. This will be a server, a web server, and DNS is a server as well. So both have different functionality. The main purpose of a web server is to host a website. So how do you install a web server? All you need to do is have server 2016 and add a role called IAS role. And then you can start hosting websites on this. So you will have one website for your HR portal website. And you will have another website for maybe another website, which is let's say google.com, msn.com. So these are all websites that are hosted on web servers. But web servers cannot resolve name to IP address. Web server only host website. Web servers only host websites. They cannot resolve names to IP address, whereas they rely on DNS to resolve names and IP address. Whereas DNS is a name resolution service. Name resolution service, it has a list of names and IP addresses. So let's say server 1 IP address 192.168.10.10. Server 2 192.168.10.12, and so on. So web server has its own functionality, DNS has its own functionality. Web server hosts website, DNS hosts name resolution. So web servers actually depend on DNS server to work. If DNS servers are not available, websites cannot survive. You cannot have websites. We cannot work with websites without DNS, because DNS has the key to to convert names to IP address. Okay, I hope that answers the question. Now let's see that how do you install and configure a DNS server, and what are the components of a DNS server. So before we can go, let me update the notes here. So in the notes, first of all, functionality of DNS is name to IP resolution. DNS resolves computer names to IP addresses. Number one. Number two, DNS. So important concept that we need to understand, DNS has a list that contains names, computer names, and IP addresses. DNS contains list.
So does it like
Yes, please go
does
ahead.
it do opposite to like IP addresses to names and names to IP addresses?
Yes, absolutely.
Both.
Absolutely. It does both. So it can resolve IP address to name, and it can resolve names to IP address. But then your question might be, then why do we call it name resolution service? Why
Yeah.
should it
Yeah.
not called IP? resolution service. The reason is because the first time when DNS was introduced, it was only introduced for name to IP resolution. Later, they did the reverse. They provided the reverse service as well. So now DNS, I mean, starting with server 2008, DNS can also do both. It can resolve IP address to name, and it can also resolve name to IP address. But the main function remains the same, is that it is a name resolution service. It resolves names to IP address. So DNS contains list that has name, server names, and IP addresses. The server names are automatically added to DNS. The servers automatically added to DNS servers, automatically added to DNS server when they join Active Directory.
So do they, if they like do opposite, they still will be in the same file, sir, like in the box, same box?
So you're saying that if it does the opposite, names to IP
Yeah.
address, then what?
Then it will be in the same location where the IP addresses are, or it will take the different location?
Oh, you're saying that should it be a same list or is it a
Yeah,
different
same
list?
list or different lists. Yeah.
Yes. So it is. It will be a different list, but within the same DNS server. It will
Okay.
be a
So,
different list, but it will be.
so
It's a
for
good
names,
question.
it will be
Yes.
different, and for IP address, it will be different lists, sir.
Yes, two different lists are there.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So good question. So servers and client names are automatically added to DNS server uh, in the list. In the list when computers joins Active Directory. When computers joins Active Directory, it is added into the DNS server. So now that we know, I mean, we'll just keep it very simple, and that is the main functionality for interview purposes. What is DNS server? So your answer is exactly starts from right here. It's a name resolution service. So it's so functionality name to IP address resolution. So here I would say in the bracket, it's a name resolution service.
Sorry, Alamai, just a quick question. So obviously, like access point switches and everything will be configured right through here as well, right? Like if obviously it'll have obviously a different list or something like that.
For different lists for what?
Like switches and access points and stuff like
Oh,
that.
it's a very good question. So does switches and routers they also depend on names? So answer is not all. I mean, not as computers or servers. So most of the time you don't need naming service in routers and switches. They all work directly on IP address.
Right, like, but for example, like what about like access point repeaters and stuff like that? Because companies use a lot of repeaters, right?
Yes, yes. So for the networking devices that need name resolution, they rely on the same DNS, this DNS.
Okay, okay, makes sense.
Yes. So their names has to be in this, but most of the time, yes. So most of the networking devices, that includes routers. Router doesn't need DNS.
Right,
Switches doesn't need DNS, but firewalls does need DNS. There are hardware firewalls that needs DNS. There are cloud appliances. Many cloud appliances
right.
they need
Like
DNS.
printers
So
and stuff too, right? The network printers that they have.
yes, yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
good.
Okay. So now DNS, so here it's a name resolution service. Now, how do you install? So what are the DNS components? DNS, DNS components. So number one, server. We need a server to run DNS service. Number one. So server, what type of server is required? Any type of server. So which means it can be 2008. 2008 is almost gone. So 2012, 2016. So you need any type of server. Can you install DNS on Windows 10? No, you cannot. So it needs a server. Same goes for DHCP. DHCP cannot be on a client machine. So these are all servers. You need a server to run this. Secondly, add a DNS role to the server. So all you need to do, add a DNS role to the server. Now, as soon as you add a DNS role to the server, open DNS manager to configure DNS. So open DNS manager to configure. Now this is actually same for all of the services. Everyone, I need your attention. This is same for all of the services. So it's this. These are steps are same. So if you need to set up Active Directory, you do need a server. Then you add a Active Directory role, and then you open a Active Directory users and computer to manage it. Same goes for a DHCP. You need a server, you need to add a DHCP role, and then you need to open DHCP manager to configure it. And same goes for DNS server as well. So there are many things that are commonly done within all of these services. So once you are in DNS manager, so in DNS manager, the very first thing I need to look at, where is the list? The list which has computer names and IP address. So in manager, DNS manager, the list that contains, so this is very important, in DNS manager, the list that contains the names and IP addresses is known as zone, is known as a zone. So in DNS manager, that contains or stores is known as zone. So now we need to remember that zone is the list name. So that list name, remember that with the list that we spoke about just few minutes back, this list is known as zone. So if I can go here, and so this list is known as zone. So next time when somebody asks what is zone in DNS, it is just a list that has names to IP addresses. Now zones are of two types. So zones are of two types: forward lookup zone and reverse lookup zone. Okay, so now that we know what is zone, zone is nothing. It's not a physical location. It's not something. It's not an area somewhere, but it's just the name of a. It's just the list that has names and IP addresses. So keep that in your photo memory, guys. Here I want to remind everyone that we need to keep use of our all learning senses. So here, this is the learning sense that I want you to remember is click snapshot in your brain. In our brain, we need to take a snapshot. The DNS looks like this. This is a DNS server, and it has a list of names and IP addresses, and this list is known as a zone. If you can remember this, you will be able to answer that in the interview as well. And the main purpose of this list is this: PC1 tries to connect to PC2. So user one goes on to is PC1 and says /PC2. The information, this request goes to DNS. DNS looks into the list and it finds the IP address, provides the IP address, and user is able to connect to the other machine by IP address. So going back to our notes here, so here in DNS server, in DNS manager, the list that contains or stores the computer names and IP addresses is known as a zone. Zones are of two types. And this is going to, this will explain Alamgir's question. Alamgir just asked a question. So Alamgir asked a question. So the list that has names to IP address, is it different from the list that has IP address to name? So this is the answer, yes. For names to IP address, that list is known as forward lookup zone. And the other list that has IP address to name, that list is known as reverse lookup zone. Forward lookup zone and reverse lookup zone. So forward lookup zone and reverse lookup zone. So, I mean, you will see that these terms and terminologies might be difficult to remember, but their purpose is very simple. Their purpose is very simple. Just like if you meet someone that has a very difficult name, it might be that the name you need to remember is difficult, but the person is very, very simple. So that's what it is. It is forward lookup zone, and forward lookup zone is which, so this is a list that has names to IP address. So this is list of list used for, so this list is used for this list is used for name to IP address resolution. Names to IP address resolution. And the other list is known as IP address to name resolution. Okay, so the other list, so this list is used for names to IP address resolution. And this list is known as list is used for IP address to name resolution. So that's the only difference. Both are lists, but the forward lookup zone is used for this. So this is both are lists. In both of them, IP address. So you can remember that by just that. So these are two different lists available. So forward lookup zone and reverse lookup zone. Okay. Okay, so when you open DNS Manager, you will see zones here, a forward lookup zone and reverse lookup zone. And in forward lookup zone, there are two types of lists available. In forward lookup zone, so here, going back to in DNS Manager, so here, so within this, so this is the list, and so in forward lookup zone, there are two types of lists available. Number one is known as system list, system managed list. So since it is a list, so what I'm trying to say here is, if I go back to the whiteboard here, remember that we have a list. So here, if I go here, so I said that there is a list in DNS that has the names and IP address. So the only additional thing that I'm saying that within this within forward lookup zone, there is another list as well. So there are two lists. One list is just simple your domain list. So this is one list, and the second list is system managed list. So this is system automatically manages this list. This is system. I'm just calling this system managed list. So this list is automatically maintained. So this list is also automatically maintained, but this list we don't change. This list is automatically maintained by the server itself. So this system managed list, we don't touch, we don't change. We can sometimes troubleshoot this list. Sometimes we have to do some manual settings in this, but this list, we never change it. So this list always start with a dot sign. Okay, so here just for remembering, and in few minutes we'll go into the lab and you will see that in action. But here I just wanted to say that forward lookup zone has two types of list. One is a system managed list that we don't change. We never work on this list, but so the only list that we work on is our domain list. Okay, so in here, forward lookup zone has two types of list. Number one, system managed list. Number two, the domain list. the domain list. So this list will always be with your Active Directory name. So the name of this list will be, so let's say if my network here is, so this will be the list name. Whatever your Active Directory name, this will be the list, and domain list is the one that we mostly work on. Domain list is the one that we work with, and the other list, this list is automatically maintained and we don't make any changes to this list. So we don't make any changes to this list. Okay, so now let's quickly recap what have we learned, everyone. So far what we have learned today, we are learning DNS. DNS is a very simple service. DNS is stands for Domain Name System. I hope that you're repeating after me in your mind, in your brain, or maybe just say it out loud, however it is possible. But we are trying to learn, we are trying to make use of all learning senses here. DNS stands for, DNS is domain name system. Number one, it's a name resolution service. So it resolves names to, it's a
Sir,
name
I have a
resolution
question.
service. The function is function.
Sir, I have a
Okay, functionality is name to IP resolution. DNS resolves computer names to IP address. And why do we need this? And here we can interview question, why do we need this service? Why do we need this service? We need this service because computers understands IP addresses and human understands names. So
sir, I have a question.
yes, please go ahead.
So, sir, trust points and conditional forwarders, does it come in the first zone or second zone?
Okay, what did you said before conditional forwarders?
Trust points.
Trust points. Okay. So conditional forwarder, I still have to go through, but trust points, I'm not sure. What is trust point? Is it part of DNS?
Yes, sir. I'm not sure. Like it goes in the second zone or the like primary zone.
A trust anchor, trust point is a public. Okay. Okay. Alamgir, you always start running before walking. Okay, so we'll park that at the moment. Uh, uh,
Sir,
so
can you hear
Alamgir,
me?
No problem. Sir, it's okay.
Sir, can you hear me?
okay, so I'll just park that question. We'll come back to this. Trust point is not used in the domain DNS. Trust points probably are used in the public DNS, not here, but okay, so I'm not going into that at the moment because this will basically just take us off road, and it will be very difficult for many of the people to understand. Okay, so going back to the basics here, and even so, conditional forwarder, I'm gonna come back in few moments. For now, we're not talking about conditional forwarder. Going back to our basic understanding here, DNS is a name resolution server. DNS resolves names to IP addresses. Why do we need this service? Because computers only understand IP addresses, and human can easily remember computer names. So we need a service that can translate names to IP address. So we need DNS So we need a DNS service. To translate names to IP addresses. That's for DNS. And now DNS, so what, so in DNS there is a list. So we need to remember that DNS has a list that has names to IP addresses. This list, the servers and client names are automatically added. So this list is automatically maintained. The list is automatically maintained by DNS server. So list is automatically maintained by DNS server, and servers and client names are automatically added to list and to DNS server in the list when the computer joins Active Directory. So then DNS components is number one, you need a server, then you need to add a role, and then you will open DNS server and then start managing it. And then within the zone, within the DNS, the very first thing that you are interested in is the list. Where is that list that contains or stores the computer names to IP addresses? So that list is known as a zone. And there are two types of zones available. Number one, forward lookup zone, and the second one is reverse lookup zone. So forward lookup zone is known as that has a list. List is used for name to IP address resolution. And in forward lookup zone, there are two different type of zone. One is automatically system managed list or a zone. So here, and the second one is domain list. So domain list is the one that mainly we work on. Okay. So now let's go to DNS, everyone. And DNS is basically automatically added when we installed Active Directory first time. So in order to manage DNS, we need to go onto our server number one. So I'm going to server number one here. If you all have server number one, just go to server number one. So on server number one, we need to go to server manager. So I'm going to the server manager, just like we need to go in order to manage all of the tools, we need to go to server manager. And in server manager, we will go to tools. Okay. So guys, here I would request everyone that whenever I do any simulation in this video, whenever I do, so at home, try to open directly. If you're not using the video, I know that you might not need video if you have already attended the class video, but the class video is always there. So most of the time, I would suggest that just open the video and look at these simulations and follow simulations few times. So just like this simulation, I'm going into DNS for the first time. You need to just skip the theory part or skip all of the lecture part that you already understand. You can, but still follow this video part. So you can just directly go on to the simulation here. So it's the first time we are opening DNS. First of all, how do we know if there is DNS on this server? You can find DNS right here in the role. This DNS is not available on server number two because server number two doesn't have this service. But I'm still going to log into server number two here. So on server number two, I don't see DNS, meaning this server doesn't have DNS and it's not a DNS server. So the only server that is a DNS server where the DNS role is. So I mean, almost 99% of the time, almost 99, and 99 is almost 100. So almost 100% of the time, DNS will always be with Active Directory. So whichever server is the Active Directory server, DNS will always be on the Active Directory server. And if I install Active Directory on the second server, it will have DNS as well. So DNS keeps so Active Directory keeps DNS with this with its own service. So now, since we know, first of all, how do we know if this server is a DNS server? The only way to find out, log into the server and see that in this list. If it is here, then it's a DNS server. If it's not here, it's not a DNS server. So sometimes on the job, or maybe in an interview, sometime in interview, they want you to do some stuff as well. So in long time back, when I went for one of the companies, in the interview, they called me in, and they gave me a full sheet of paper, just like a custom lab that I gave you. But in that sheet, it was just saying create two DNS server, and then create two DHCP server, and then create two failover, then create a failover cluster. And so it has maybe 6 or 7 sections, and was just saying just create this, create this, create this. So in that, you will need to know that if which server has a DNS server. So you need to log in and see that if it is a DNS server. So here I'm going to the DNS server, and how do you manage it? You right click. So you will see here the DNS server, right click on this. Most of the time DNS is right here, just like Active Directory. So this will show you the tools which have, so if I need to connect to DNS Active Directory, I can right click here and see these are all Active Directory tools. So between this line and this line, it's the all the tools that can be managed for this role. For example, a web server role. So we added that web server role in the beginning. So for our failover cluster, you right click on this, and this is the IAS manager right here. So in order to manage DNS, I will click on this and right click on this and see DNS manager right here. So this is one way of going there. All the other ways, all the tools are available within the tools here. So I can go from here as well, DNS, or I can go from here as well. So I'm going to open this from DNS manager. Now, as soon as the DNS manager opens, and if we go back, look at our notes, what am I looking for? I'm looking for, as soon as it is open, I'm looking for the list where the IP addresses are. So that list is known as a zone, and that zone, the only zone that I'm interested in is this zone. So this is the only place that I can manage and see. Otherwise, everything else is automatically managed. Even this zone is automatically managed. So I'm looking for a zone. I will expand this, double click on this. And then right here, when I click, it says forward lookup zone and reverse lookup zone. And then trust points is a new, but it's used for public networks, not used for local networks at the moment. You won't find it configured anywhere in the network. And conditional forward, I'll come back in a moment. But here, let's look at these two zones that are important. So first of all, reverse lookup zone is not configured by default. So reverse lookup zone, we all know what is a reverse lookup zone. Anyone?
It resolves from IP
Sir,
address to
Two
name.
names.
Excellent. Very good. So resolves IP address to name. Write that in the chat, everyone. Reverse lookup zone resolves IP. Yeah, however you want to write it, just write it, please, in the chat. Everyone, please. Yeah, however, excellent, excellent, very good. So a reverse lookup zone resolves IP address to name. So it's empty. So by default, as I said, that reverse lookup zone main purpose of DNS is not for IP address to name resolution. Main purpose of DNS is resolve names to IP address. This is why there is nothing in reverse lookup zone. So which means that if your company is interested in reverse lookup, then they can configure it. Otherwise, they can leave it empty. So we will configure it later on. For now, we'll just leaving it empty. Here it says this domain name system allows DNS names to be divided into zones. Each zone stores information, one of more contiguous DNS name, and add a new zone action. Okay, so this is just simple. And this is where we are interested in. And remember that I said that in DNS, there are two types of lists available. One is this list, which is MSDSC, and the second one is the domain list. So this is our main list. So we call this zone. I'm just keep on calling this a list just for your remembering. Otherwise, we will just know it as a zone. So this is the list that I'm talking about, that this has all these names and IP addresses. Here you can see that it has this cluster name. Remember that in the failover cluster, we said it was 360 cloud CLU and the IP address was 10.50. Then server 1 has 10.10. Server 2 has 10.12. Then the server 3 has 10.14. And then print spooler has 10.55. This was, so this is the list that I was talking about. This is the list, and it is automatically maintained list. If I change this to here, now the first thing that we need to remember, anything that starts with underscore. So this starts from underscore. This is automatically system maintained. We don't touch this unless you are a third level expert. I mean third level admin. Third level meaning a DNS specialist, or maybe working with working on you specialize in DNS. Then you can go inside and then you can make some changes here. Then you can make some changes here. Otherwise we'll just leave it as is. We don't change it. This is for, this is automatically maintained for DNS, and I will go into that. We will try to understand that as well. But at the moment our main focus is this list here. So in this list, all these folders that you see on the top, this is automatically maintained folder. We don't make any changes to these folders, but we will try to understand here. But then for now our focus is all these different records. So these, so first of all, this is the list that we talked about. Can you make a record in this? Yes, we can make a record. I can right click on this and create a new record. So for example, if there is a new computer, if there is a new computer in the network, I can say the new computer name is PC2, and the IP address is, let's say for now I would say 99, and create a host. So it just created this entry here. So it's that simple. So we can create entries manually as well, but it is recommended to keep it automatic. To keep it automatic. If the computer is not here in the DNS, it means that that computer is not a part of Active Directory. And we all know that Active Directory is the main security of your network. So if something is not part of Active Directory, the machine won't be here. Then your question might be that if it is said that it needs to be automatically maintained, then why do we have all these options? Why do we have a new add host option, alias option, exchange option, domain option, delegation? Guys, these options are here for non-Microsoft services. So I think 15-20 minutes back, Ashish asked that question, that do we need to add networking equipment here in DNS as well? So guys, yes, if let's say if it is a firewall and I need to add a firewall to DNS, then I need to manually add it. Now there are some devices that automatically registers in DNS, and there are some devices that cannot automatically register. Now all the Windows devices that include servers, clients, Windows 10, Windows 8, Windows 7, servers 2008, 2003, 2012, 2016, 2019, all the Windows devices, they automatically list themselves in this. But all of the non-Microsoft devices, we need to go and add them. So if there is a Linux server, it needs to be added manually. So let's say if there is a Linux or Unix server, I would just go here, new host added, and I would say this is my Linux serve 01, and the IP address is, so who would give me the IP address? The Linux admin. I don't know the IP address. So Linux admin, whoever the admin of this server, they would send me an email saying, please add my server to DNS. So you as a DNS admin will go into DNS and will follow instructions. So all you need to do, you would need to get an IP address. Let's say a Linux admin comes to you and say, add my server to DNS. So you would say, what is your IP address? He would say, you're the admin, you should know. Yes, this doesn't make sense. You can tell them, I don't know the IP address. You need to give me the IP address. And he will go back to the networking team and ask them, what IP address should I use on my Linux server? The networking team would give them the IP address, and then he would give you the IP address, and then you can add this IP address in DNS. So now I have added few IP addresses. Okay, so this is DNS, and these are zones. So DNS has zones inside: forward lookup zone, reverse lookup zone, Forward lookup zone is used for name to IP address resolution. Reverse lookup, IP address to name resolution. Now let's see for a second, what if DNS is not available? What if DNS is not available? Let's say if I go to my server number 2, if I go to my server number 2 and here I would try to see that what is in the list. How do you read in the list? So for example, if I need to see that what is the IP address of PC number 3, what is the IP address of PC number 3, I can go to DNS, I can go to server and open command prompt. So I will open command prompt. Remember that ipconfig is a utility to basically check the IP configuration. And just like ipconfig, there is a utility called ns lookup. ns lookup. ns lookup is a utility that can work with DNS service. So ns lookup, as soon as I say ns lookup and enter it, it connects me to my DNS server, and then here I can type any name and it will provide me the IP address. So for example, if I need to see the IP address of PC2, remember that we have added PC2. For example, PC1 is not in the list. As soon as I do, it says unknown, cannot find PC1. What about PC2? PC2, if I go and it says PC2 is not there as well, and what is the reason why it's not there? Here I can go back to, oh, because we don't have PC2, there is only PC3. So now let's see, if I try to see PC3, PC3, it automatically resolved. It says PC3 name is PC3.360cloud.local, and it's this. And where is it coming from? It's coming from right here in DNS. So this is how the DNS works. So here in the notes, let's add few more things here. So in the notes, we need to see the command line to manage DNS. DNS is called ns lookup. So ns lookup, and here what you would do, everyone opens ns lookup, please. Sorry. So okay, so do this quick lab here on your machine. Log into server number 1, and let's spend these 10 minutes in the lab and create a record. I want you to create these records here. So I'm writing the instructions here, and okay. So before that, so ns lookup. Okay, so let me write the definition of this. Ns lookup, enter ns lookup, ns lookup. It is a utility, it is a command to query DNS. So that's the main purpose of ns lookup. And all you need to do is type ns lookup, and then you need to type so then you need to type the computer name. So then it goes to the list and gets the IP address. Okay. So here lab you need to do right now in next 10 minutes, and so lab is open DNS on Active Directory server or server number 1. And then go to so DNS, open DNS, and go to forward lookup zone. Forward lookup zone, expand your domain list. and then create a host record. So guys, create this please and let me know.
Should I click PTR too, sir, or don't need to?
No, not PT. So PTR is for reverse lookup, but there is no zone available. That's why we don't need PTR at the moment.
Sir, after generating this, where should I check this?
Just in the list. So once it is done, close
Bottom.
both of the windows, and it should be in your list.
Yeah. No, but sir, you check this with the IP config.
Oh,
Uh,
that you need to
yeah.
go to the other server. So first of all,
Sir,
create these two records. So for one record is this, and create the second record as well. Hold on. So PC9 and IP address 105. Guys, create 3 records, please.
So, sir, if there is a like similar IP address, it will conflict or no?
No, it won't conflict. So what happens is if it has a similar IP address, 2 records have similar, so DNS will go into the list. Whichever it finds first, it will provide it to the client. So you can have 10 names connected to one IP address.
So just host or alias too, sir?
Sorry?
Or-
No, for now just create host. Don't create
Okay.
alias at the moment.
sir, for example, if I want to change the host, what should I do, sir?
If you need to change the host, try double
Because
click.
sir,
Yes.
yeah, I am on the properties. I have mentioned PC03, but I want to change into PC10. So
No, so you
how?
create a new record. Why do you want to change it? You want to
So
change?
that, yeah, that IP, sir, I have used with PC03.
Okay. So if you want to change it, you just need to
Yeah.
delete it and then, because once the record is
Okay.
created, you cannot change it.
Okay.
You
So
you can.
I mean, I'm using with PC03. It's okay, sir.
That's fine. That's fine. Yes.
Yeah.
So records always are checked in the second DC, sir, or like
No, you can check on the same DC as well. Just open command prompt and then say ns lookup and then type the names and see if it is working. Okay. So how many people are doing this lab? I want each one of you to complete this lab. Everyone. So I please, without practical, this all explanation is nothing. So we need to do this. We need to uh,
Sir, third host you didn't mention, sir.
sorry, what?
Third host, sir.
Third host? Oh, the name. The name is, let's
Yes,
call
sir.
this PC50. PC50. So I've copied that in the chat window, guys. You have 5 minutes to do it. Okay. Okay. Ashish, are you doing it? And Salim, are you doing this lab? Wasim?
Yes, sir. Just waiting for my computer to start.
Yes, sir, I'm doing, sir. I'm
Okay.
trying.
So guys, please start your computer right at the start of the lecture, because I'm realizing that we need to do the lab
Actually,
in the
I did have it started, but I actually had the DHCP servers on, so I
okay,
just wanted to actually create it on Canvas, so I'm just starting the other ones.
okay, sure. Human, are you at home or work? Okay, Human is not.
Sorry, sir. What was the command?
Okay, so now once you create these records, then in order to check these records, we need to run ns lookup. So the command is ns lookup. So remember the name ns lookup, ns name service lookup. So ns stands for name service lookup. So it's logical to remember that it is some command that will resolve names to IP address. So name service lookup. Name service or name server. So here, so expand here we create, go to forward lookup zone, expand the domain list, create 3 records. And now to check the names, log into the other server or open command prompt.
The command prompt from the other server.
You can open the command prompt on the same server or the other server. It will work exactly the same. But I'm doing it on the other server so that it makes more sense that I need to resolve it from the other server.
Okay.
Sir, I've got the IP, this PC09.
Okay, excellent. Alamgir shared the screen. Very good. And take a picture and share it on WhatsApp, please. Alamgir, thank you.
You are.
So in the command prompt, type nslookup and type the computer names to see if the names are resolved. Type the computer name to see if the names are resolved. So we can type PC3, sorry, PC9, PC50, and so on. So they should be able to resolve. Okay, good. Thank you, Dishan. And Ashar, your servers are working. Are you working on those servers or what's happening? Okay. Okay, Ashar, thank you. Start up the servers and create these records, please. Okay, good. Okay. So now that we know that in DNS there are lists, there are lists available. If the name is in the list, then you will be it. The DNS will be able to reply. It's that simple. If the name is not in the list, then DNS will give error message. It would say that it's not resolving it. Okay, so which means, so it's very important that the servers, all the servers should register in DNS. Now going back to our notes, DNS servers are of two types. DNS servers.
Sir,
Yes, please
like,
go ahead.
yeah, it shows unknown, but if you put the name there, it should give the name too. Like,
So if it says unknown in the first name, it's fine, but it should resolve the name of the PC that you are resolving. I mean, the screenshot that you shared, if you look at it, remember that the server name is unknown, but it's showing the server IP address, and it is also showing your PC name and IP address. So that is fine.
okay, thank you.
So guys, DNS, going back to our notes here, the second important concept is DNS is of two types, and I'm going to go back to DNS settings in a moment, but here DNS is of two types: internal DNS server and external DNS server. So internal DNS server, that has the list of all your organization's computer names and IP addresses. Okay, so internal, this all your organizations, computers including servers and clients. So internal DNS server is the one that has your organizational internal computer names and IP addresses, whereas external DNS has the IP address of a server, of a DNS server, that has the list of all your public names and IP addresses, has the forwarder. External DNS has the forwarder to another DNS server. So, okay, to your ISP DNS server. To your ISP DNS servers, that has the list of all public public internet public website names and IP addresses. Okay, so now remember that so there is internal DNS and there is external DNS. Internal DNS is, okay, internal DNS is the DNS that works inside your organization. Okay, and external DNS is that the DNS server that sits in your ISP. Why there is a DNS server in ISP? Because ISPs, people are browsing internet and they need a name resolution service as well. So now here, let's on the whiteboard understand these two types of DNS. So moving swiftly on, DNS servers.
What is the ISP, sir?
Yes, okay. ISP is Internet Service Provider. Internet Service Provider. And this is referred to Rogers or Bell. So Roger, your Internet Service Provider, Roger, or Bell, or Shaw, I think, maybe in Calgary, or any internet provider. In Pakistan, it's Zone. Um, India, I think it's Alliance. Alliance is a service provider too. So these are all these internet service provider. These service providers. So DNS server exists with them as well. So now let's try to understand, why do we have internal and external DNS? Internal and external DNS. Now, external DNS normally are DNS server with millions of records. So this external DNS will have millions of records. And why am I saying this has a list that has millions of records? It's because there are millions of websites. Remember, and maybe there is a billion websites at the moment. I mean, and there will be more and I mean billion website. Why I'm saying billion websites? Because now that in the cloud there are cloud services, there are websites too. There is IoT services that have those websites as well. So there are many. So this external DNS that is sitting with the ISP in your Rogers or Bell internet provider, they have this DNS server and they have all these. And what is in this list? So they have a forward lookup zone as well, which is just a simple list, and that has IP address of google.com, that has IP address of msn.com, that has IP address of yahoo.com, that has IP address of youtube.com, so and so on, and then they have their IP address listed here. So this list is huge. Not all organization needs to keep the list, and there is no use for keeping this list. And the companies, they keep their own DNS server, and in this DNS server we keep the companies keep their own IP addresses. So just like we have internal DNS server will have a list, that list will have companies internal IP addresses. So server 1, server 2, server 3, and then
So,
there
so,
is PC1,
so
PC.
sir, I have a question.
Yes, please go ahead.
So these websites, they always keep the same IP address.
These websites are keep on updating themselves. Yes, so they keep same IP addresses, or they, if there is a change in the IP address, then they will update it automatically. Okay, now let's understand that how are the two connected. So for all of the internal name resolutions, your server will support. So for example, all your company, let's say you're working in Rogers, and Rogers has 80,000 employees, or let's say 10,000 employees, and they're using 20,000 computers. So these computers needs name resolution. Their request goes to the DNS server. DNS replies back with the IP address, and that's how they connect together. So first, the client requests a DNS server that give me an IP address of a client, and then DNS server replies back with the IP address, and then number 3, client can connect to the other client. This is very simple. But let's say this, from this client you're trying to go onto a website. So if you're going onto a website called google.com, and google.com is not listed in your internal DNS, so for this request, this DNS server automatically knows the next DNS hop. So it automatically sends this request to the external DNS server. So in this case, first request, you want to go to google.com, it goes to your DNS server. DNS server looks into it, it's not there obviously, because this is just internal list. And then it sends to the ISP DNS server, and ISP DNS server looks into his list and finds the IP address of google.com. It replies back to your DNS server that this is the IP address. So your DNS does two things. Number one, it will store into its cache memory google.com's IP address. So there is a cache list, which is a temporary list. So in the cache memory here, I would say this is that list where it keeps the google.com IP address, so that next time it doesn't have to go out. So it keeps that and then provides it to the client. So number 3 is, so first of all, your client requested your DNS server, what is google.com's IP address, and then it sends to the ISP. ISP looked into its own list and replied back to your DNS server, this is the IP address. And number three and number four, it cached it. And number five, so this is number four, it cached it, meaning it kept it in its temporary memory. And why is it keeping it temporary memory? Because let's say client number two needs the google.com IP address as well. So this time when client number two goes here, it is already in the cached memory. So it doesn't have to waste time and go all the way to ISP and wait for all this. And number five is that it provides the IP address. So this is where internal and external DNS work together. And now your question might be, do you can you keep this complete list in your internal DNS server? Yes, you can keep it, but there is no need for this. Why? Because there is no need for your all users to have millions and millions of records in your DNS server. Number one, it will be heavy on the server. And number two, why do you want to keep all of these the records that you're not using? So for that reason, external DNS are kept separate. So Alamgir's question is, if company has same IP address for long, is it not easy to hack it by hackers? It's a very good point. Though, so Alamgir's question is, let's say google.com has a IP address and google.com is keeping that IP address for years and years. I mean, Google is now maybe probably 10 15 years old. And so I mean they're keeping. So the question for from Alamgir is, should they keep the same IP address, should they keep on changing it? So answer is, they always keep the same IP address. But then Alamgir's second concern is that, is it not easier for hackers to hack into this since they know the IP address? Yes, they can hack into this, but for that, google.com, they have firewalls to connect to protect the servers. So for hacking, protection from hacking, they use specialized firewalls, securities, and everything, but they keep the same IP address. It's exactly like if the country, we know the country's location cannot be changed. Or if the country location keeps on changing, then it will be difficult for travelers to move from one place to another. That this country is now in Asia, now the country is in Africa, now the country went. I mean, it doesn't even make sense. But for security purposes, all the countries have armies. They have their armies to protect so it's exactly the same concept. Websites have exactly the same IP address all the time. Why? Because it's easier for clients to connect to the website. If the IP address keeps on changing, then it will be very difficult to track what is today's IP address of this website. So it will be very difficult for user to communicate with the website. But in order to protect from security, we have firewalls, hardware firewalls, we have VPNs, we have so many technologies that are protecting their environment. But at the same time, hackers are keep on coming up with breaking these technologies as well, breaking into those technologies. Okay, so we'll go for a break, 10 minutes break, but here let me just complete that concept here. So we have two types of servers, two types of DNS server: internal server, external server. External server is not our responsibility. We are only responsible for internal server. As a cloud admin or a system admin, this is your responsibility. So what is your responsibility? That DNS server should be up 24/7. It shouldn't go down. If it goes down and it is crashed, then it is your responsibility to fix it. If it is corrupted, then it is your responsibility to restore it from the backup. So you need to take a backup, you need to restore it. This is your responsibility. If there are any corrupted records inside, then you need to fix it. But this is not your responsibility. This is ISP's responsibility. So ISP has a staff, or maybe they have their own system admin. Not maybe they have their own system admin that manages these DNS servers. But I need you to remember the mechanism. For all internal name resolutions, your DNS has the list. For external resolution, your DNS relies on external DNS. It sends that request to the external DNS server, and it replies back with the IP address. Now, before going for a break, just let's understand. Let's say there is a brand new website. So we just created this website called Pass Institute. Okay, then how does DNS resolve name to a brand new website? So for a brand new website, it follows the normal procedure. So first of all, I, as the owner of this website, I would go and buy this domain name. Okay, as soon as I buy this domain name, this domain name will be first of all automatically listed in the external list. So I bought this from godaddy.com. Godaddy.com is a website where you buy websites. So first of all, as soon as I buy it, they will list it in the external DNS, and external DNS is internationally maintained throughout the world. So once it is in this, now it is in the list, but it is not anywhere else. So let's say if I ask you to go to this website, since you're going to this website for the first time and from your network, your request will go here. So you will first time go to this, you will go into your Chrome and you will go to passinstitute.com.au. As soon as you go, it goes to your DNS server. DNS server tries to look it into your local list and it says, no, I don't have it. So it will send this request to the external DNS. Okay, so which is going right here. So first, you're trying to connect to the website. Second, the request is sent to your company's DNS. But guys, here I want to make a point here that since your DNS, the Rogers DNS also doesn't have this website. Why? Because Rogers is in Canada, and they are maintaining the list that is that they already have. So this goes back to the root servers. This goes back that, so this will first time it would say, your Rogers ISP would say, I don't have this website because it's not listed. So what it does, it sends the request to the root DNS server. So here, this is known as a root DNS. A root DNS server are basically those servers that has that where the names are registered. So I would call this a root DNS server, and root DNS server is the place where the names are registered. So it sends the request to a root DNS server saying that, do you know this website name? The root DNS looks into the list and finds the name that, okay, so this name is newly registered. And then from there, it will reply back number 4, and from here it goes back to your server. It is cached and it will be cached here as well. So next time when next client, another student tries to go onto this website, so it is cached here. Now this knows. But let's say another person who is part of Rogers and is not using this DNS server, so this name is now cached in Rogers as well. So Rogers doesn't have to go back to the root server. So so there are 3 scenarios we discussed. One is when 2 computers try to connect to each other and they are in the local list, DNS will provide the name. If a client is trying to connect to a international website, okay, international, a website, internet website, so the request goes to ISP and ISP looks into the list and provides the IP address. If it is a brand new website, then it does the ISP's DNS server would go back to the root DNS server, and from there it will provide that. So guys, in all in all, the main function of a DNS server is to resolve names to IP address. Okay, everyone, it's time for a 10 minutes break. Let's take a quick break, and right after the break we will continue. Try to freshen up, everyone. Move around, coffee, or maybe anything that can freshen you up. Okay, so it's a 10 minutes break. Welcome back after the break, everyone. Okay, so just before the break, guys, we were going through understanding DNS, and we started understanding DNS. And please type yes if you're present. Thank you. So so everyone is back from the break. So, okay. So in DNS, just before the break, we understood that DNS is a service that is a name resolution service, number one. And name resolution service is very, very important service. If and now you can understand that if just the DNS goes down in this world, if just the DNS goes down in this world, you won't be able to go to any website. You won't be able to use any websites. You won't be able to watch YouTube's anything on the internet. They all depend on DNS, and this is the very reason when Active Directory is installed, DNS is installed inside with DNS. Now, DNS has different type of records inside. Now that we understand the overall purpose of DNS, if I go to server number one, now let's see, there are different type of records that are used in DNS. So the most common record that is used in DNS is known as a host record. The most common record that is used in DNS is known as a host record. So right here you see this is the type of record. There are these three types of records. So first of all, Alamgir, you have a question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please go ahead. Yeah, Alamgir, there is a hand as well, you know. There is a you can also, so that I know that if you have a question.
Okay, I will check it. I didn't see.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
sir, internal definitely internal uh,
DNS server.
DNS. Yeah, the company handles it. So external also the same company handles it. So like external has any connection with the other like where they get these websites, external one. So they have another external approach.
So they get it from the root servers. They get it. Remember that I said that they have to go to the root server. So here I would say DNS. DNS.
So who sir who manages root servers then?
So DNS root server. Okay, I'll go here and going to the internet. So DNS is like this here. So at the top there are, let's look at this here picture. So at the top there is something called root servers. Okay, and then under root server there are .NET servers, com servers, SE servers, and under those servers then we have these websites. So if the website is google.com or netflix.com, then they are based on the .com servers. If it is let's say netfirms.net, then they are part of this server, and then likewise it goes down and down. Now who's controlling all this? There is an international authority that controls all the DNS. So here let me see if I can find that here, but normally this is not our responsibility. So for now, it will be enough to know, that there is some international authority that is managing it, which is managing all the DNS. Without them, whenever you buy a new website, basically we buy it from GoDaddy, and GoDaddy buys it from that international authority. Then it is part of those servers, and that's how it is work. That's how it works.
No, no, it's clear, sir. Thank you.
Okay, very good. So guys here, in DNS, there are different type of records created. The most common type of record is right here on the screen, which is known as a host record. And a host record is just a combination of name and IP address. Even all of the other records are exactly the same, but here we see SOA record and NS record. SOA stands for a start of authority record, and name server record, name NS record is called a name server record. So when the first time active DNS server is created, it is created with SOA record. SOA record is basically the record for the same server. And here you can see on this here, it refers to 360 cloud server 01. So it is referring to itself. So SOA record is its own record. I mean, you can remember with the word start of authority. Who is start of authority? Itself. Itself is a start of authority. So this record is automatically maintained. Second is also, it refers to a DNS server. So let's say if in your environment you have two DNS servers, so there will be two name server records. So name server record, this is also referring to itself. Here you can see 360 cloud serve 01, which is itself, and NS record refers to a DNS server itself. So why is it so? So this basically, when computers are trying to log in for the first time, they go to a DNS server and they would say, I need to connect to, so this is the NS name server records that they are connected to. So if there are two DNS servers in your environment, then there will be two NS records. In this complete environment where I have three servers, I have only one DNS server, so this is why I see only one NS record. But in your lab, if you have two DNS server, if you have two Active Directory servers, then definitely you have two DNS server. And if you go to your DNS, then you should be able to see two NS records.
Can I ask you something?
Yes, please go ahead.
Let's suppose there are two servers and two DNS servers have been created on both of them. So they are going to replicate each other.
Yes. So yes, DNS server automatically replicates each other. So if I create a DNS server here, it will automatically get the same list. So it will replicate. Yes.
There will be two name server.
There will be
Both of them.
two name server records and two DNS server, and the list will be exactly the same.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, it's a good question. And why do we need two servers? Because guys, if one server goes down, then at least you should have a second server that can service your network. Okay, so now how many other, so now we know three types of record. Number one, a host record, which is the most common one. It's just the name and IP address. There is a start of authority record, which is automatically maintained, and it is the first DNS server in your environment. So if I ask how many start of authority records do you have in your DNS, answer is very simple, just one. Just one. There is start of authority record. Unless you have a second domain with a totally different name, then it will have its own start of authority record. But in an Active Directory network, there is only one start of authority record. And secondly, NS is, it refers to a DNS server. If you have more DNS server, then there are many, then there will be more NS records as well. Other than these, there are all these different type of records. So there is a host record. It is known as a host record, or there is something called 4As or 4As record. Now, this A host record refers to IPv4 IP address record, whereas 4A's IP address name will be referred to IPv6 IP address record. So remember that IPs are of two types: IPv4 IP address and IPv6 IP address. If there is a record for IPv6, that will be referred to as AAAA, 4As. Then we have alias record, which is CNAME record. CNAME record is only used for if you need to refer to a computer by another name as well. So what are we trying to understand? We are trying to understand what is alias record. Alias record is just a nickname for the record. For example, in real world, we call so we have nicknames too. So right, let's say, what is the nickname? Nickname for
Jira.
Jira. Excellent. Come on, yeah, man. We need some, yes, Jira. Jira is nickname of what? Junaid?
Maybe Junaid or Javed.
Jamshed or something.
Javed.
So yes, so the real name can be different. Let's say Javed. Oh, that reminds me, Javed is not here today. He sent me a message, but I still have to look at that message. Okay. So Javed. Okay, so I cannot use the name Javed because he might. Okay, he might mind that why I'm calling him Jira. No, so Jamshed. Jamshed is the real name. Jamshed can be a real name, and his nickname is Jira. Now, Jira, both names are referring to the same person. Exactly in the same manner, we can create a C name that can refers to same IP address. For example, if I want to call this server, which is 360 Cloud Server, with another name but with the same IP address, I can create a C name. So if I go here, C name, if I go to a C name and I say that server one is my super server. So I'm just calling it as, there is nothing like, I mean, super server AD. I'm just calling it a different name, but in this case, I'm giving an alias or a nickname to my server number one. So I'll browse from here and I'll go into DNS forward lookup zone. And in here, I will refer this to server number one. So this is my server number one. I can look at this here. If I refers to this here, now here you can say that super server AD, super server D, okay, in this case Super Server D, it refers to 360 cloud name, which refers to this server and that refers to that IP address. So even if I go with, try to connect to 360 server 01, it will connect to this IP address. Or if I try to now connect to Super Serve D, it will again try to connect to this IP address. So aliases, just like in the real world, alias is just an alias. In a very simple definition, it's a nickname for something. It's a maybe a referred name to a service that you want to refer it to a different name. So alias is that I can, how many aliases I can create? I can create as much aliases as possible. For example, I can create another alias called my ad server, my ad server, and I can again refer to the same one. I can again refer to the same one. Now, both of these names are referring to this. So alias is just, so remember C name. C name, I mean, by definition, it's a canonical name. Canonical name is just, I mean, they used to call it long time back canonical name, then they changed it to alias. So now both names are here. Basically, it's just, excuse me, it's just the name that is referred to another name with another name. Sorry, a server to another name. Now, in which cases would you use alias in the real environment? Guys, we use aliases in different environment when a server is a web server and it has multiple websites. So let's say one server is hosting 10 websites. So then 10 names should be given to that one server. Mostly aliases are used in that sense, only for websites. If one physical server is hosting 10 websites, so those all 10 names will be connecting to this one IP address. So that third type of record. Then there is another type of record that is known as mail exchange record, which is MX record. Now, MX record only refer to a exchange server. Exchange server is a server, or here they changed it. They changed the name recently to mail exchange record. Actually, not recently. Okay, so this is now very old. So name mail exchange record. This is the record that will refer to only a exchange server. Now, what is an exchange server? Exchange server is a server that hosts emails. So, for example, if Gmail has any servers in the background, obviously they have servers in the background where we log in and check our email. Those all servers are exchange servers. Those all servers are exchange servers where they keep mails. So if in this network I have an exchange server, then I would create this record. So I would say my exchange server mail server record is 360 cloud exchange, 360 cloud exchange. And what will be this server? So by going into my list, I know that one of my server is an exchange server. Let's say in this case my exchange server is 02. So 02 is my Exchange server, and here now this record is created. Yes, please go ahead, Alamgir.
Yes, sir. In the beginning, you said that like some services are managed by Microsoft. So, this mail exchange is also Microsoft, I think. So why it's not automatically managed?
Yes, a very good question. Why is it not automatically managed? The reason is that Exchange is a full-fledged enterprise level application. Okay, and the latest form of Exchange is Office 365. So if you have any emails on Office 365, Office 365 is the latest version of Exchange. But Exchange is an application that is manually managed within many organizations. So not all of the organizations use Gmail. All the organizations use their own email system. Meaning, if you go into Rogers, Rogers have their own set of Exchange servers, and Exchange servers are like maybe 20 or 50 Exchange servers for their all emails. So when emails are managed inside the organization, they are managed through Exchange, and they have to be managed like this manually. So that's why we need to create this record manually inside the organization. So all organizations have MX record. Okay. So my attention goes to all of the others, including Salim, Wasim, Zishan, and Faz, and Ashish, and Usher. So guys, please ask questions. Ask questions. Keep taking the notes. These concepts are very, very important. They are directly related to the interview. They are directly. You might be asked questions on these, and these are heavily used services: DHCP, DNS, Active Directory. So I'm sure you're taking notes, and please send me the copy of the notes at the end of this lecture. It's very, very important. Guys, we can finish the training, and I can explain all the topics, but if it is not storing in our long-term memory, then it won't last long. It won't last long. You will be bored, and when it is time for the interview, it will be very difficult for you to review the things and then try to understand at that point. So please take notes. If you're taking notes and you have any questions, simple question, hard question, the question that you think is silly, I don't think any question is silly, because we are all learning, we are all in this training. So no question is a silly question. All questions are very, very important question. Any question that comes into your mind, even related to IP address, related to DHCP, connection with DNS, connection with Active Directory, I don't mind. My goal is to basically remove the confusion. So erase the confusion and bring you back to the track. So any question is welcome.
So,
Sir, sir,
Yes, go ahead, Faz, first. Yes.
I need
yeah.
to ask you, can you rephrase again about the mail exchange? Sir, I didn't understand this one.
Yes.
Why do we need this thing? Why do we need?
Okay. Okay, I'll
Sir,
explain that.
same.
Because we're not trying to log into a specific website, mail servers. I don't understand why do we need the DNS for this?
Okay. Okay.
Sir, I want to add one thing, sir. I
Yes,
want
please
to
go
ask
ahead.
one thing.
Yes.
Sir, this mail exchange, like Outlook, I mean, managed by mail exchange or like Microsoft? Because in
Uh,
company, yeah.
yes. So okay. So first of all, both questions are related to MX, and I'll reply to both of them. First of all, let's quickly have a very basic understanding of what is Exchange, because you will be dealing with Exchange team. By the way, Exchange teams are different teams. So these are not, the system admin is not responsible for Exchange services, but you will be dealing with those teams that are managing Exchange. So what happens is that Exchange server is a server that hosts all your emails. So this is in order to have an Exchange server. So what do you have? Server 2016. Then you will download Exchange complete software from Microsoft, and it is a very expensive software that company has to pay or buy. It comes in different versions. So you install server, you install Exchange, and then what happens? There are mailboxes for all the users. So this is what Exchange server is. So mailboxes for all the users. I mean, is this a new concept? No, it's not. Why? Because every day we connect to our Gmail. So Gmail, what is Gmail? Gmail is basically a mailbox. It's just a mailbox. And where is it sitting? It is obviously sitting somewhere. It is sitting on Gmail servers, and Gmail servers are owned by Google. So this is how every time when you log into Gmail, your mailbox, you use your credentials and you open it in Outlook or in your own Gmail system, and you will create an email. You will send email. This servers will maintain everything. So this is Gmail. But in organizations, they have Exchange system and they have mailboxes. So if this user is going into Outlook or in any tool where they are accessing the email, you will create a new email. First of all, he will log in and connect to Exchange, and then open connect to his mailbox, and from here he will receive and send email. So that's the main purpose of Exchange system. Now going first of all to Zishan's question, that's who manages this. So number one, that this is managed by the Exchange admin. Just like there are system admins in your organization, there are people called Exchange admin. And Exchange admin are special people who manage only these servers. They're not responsible for the server health and what we are responsible. They're not responsible for even cloud and Azure and AWS. They're responsible only for Exchange server. They're also highly paid jobs, these Exchange jobs, but you need to be specialized in this. So first of all, they are responsible for Exchange server. Now going to the second question, which is why do we need a MX record in this? You're not trying to access any website. You're not, I mean, why do you need a name resolution for Exchange server? Guys, we need a name resolution for Exchange server. So what happens is in the DNS, we know that in the DNS, it has a list. So this is a DNS server. It has a list. It has all of the A records. So I would say for now here, a host record, and it also has SOA record, remember, start of authority record, and then it also has NS record, name server record, and then now we said there needs to be an Exchange server record. Now mail Exchange record mostly refers to the Exchange server, this server. So let's say if this server name is Exchange serve 01, and the IP address is 192.168 10.199, then in this case here, first of all, it has it. So mail Exchange record, it always refers to a host record, just like a alias. So first of all, when the first time this server was registered to Active Directory, then in the list it should have Exchange serve, so this name, and then there should be an IP address. So first of all this. Now once the Exchange server is fully working, I mean it's completed, users are trying to connect, then we need a record called mail Exchange record, and this mail Exchange record will be something like my mail, and then it will be referring to Exchange server. It will be referring to this server. So basically Exchange mail server record is referring to just this. Now going back to your question, Faz, that why do we need Exchange server record? Guys, because email services are very important services in any organization, and all of the users will be connecting to that one server that has your mailboxes. For that reason, to make it easy that all of the users are connecting to Exchange server, we create mail server record. Instead, that all of the users will be using the server name and different server names, then it will be a bit difficult. Now, in order to remember just one Exchange server name, it's easy, but it's not the case. I just said that in Rogers there are 20 Exchange servers, so not so only one Exchange server doesn't do the job. There are, whenever there is an Exchange environment, there will be 6 or 7 Exchange servers. So Exchange server 03, Exchange server 04, 05, and so on. But MX record will make it easy for all of users to connect to just one server and connect to their respective Exchange server. So that's the reason why we need MX record.
And sir, I believe it's also very important because in organization, data sharing is also like that is activity, that activity is fraudulent activity. So that is, I mean, for that reason also this exchange department work play a big role as well,
Yeah,
because in
that
bank.
for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. So for that reason, we have these different records, and these all services are very, very important.
Okay,
Okay.
sir.
Okay, excellent. So now, guys, let's quickly recap what we have learned today. We have DNS server, and DNS server, we know that in order to install DNS server, so number one, DNS is a name resolution service. Interview question, name resolution server. What is DNS? DNS is a name resolution service. If you say that, most of the time the interviewer will say, okay, this person knows what DNS is. It's a name resolution service. Number one, it resolves names to IP addresses. Number one. Number two, DNS has zones inside. And zones are of two types. Number one, forward lookup zone. Forward, I would say just forward and lookup zone. And I hope that when I review that, you just keep on writing in your rough pages, guys. Do not think of that my pages will be wasted, my pencil will be wasted, and the ink will be wasted when I keep on writing same things again and again and again. This was a joke, by the way. Guys, just keep on writing. Just keep on writing. Trust me, this goes into your real term memory. And Zishan is saying, yes, already taking notes. That is excellent. But my this point is especially for the review. Even when I'm reviewing, write it. Just write it. So I'm reviewing this. DNS is a name resolution service. DNS has zones inside. There is forward lookup zone, and then there is reverse lookup zone. So reverse lookup zone. Okay. And then forward lookup zone is basically for what it is, name to IP resolution. So remember, name to IP. And whereas reverse lookup is IP to name. Okay. So this we already know. And then we said that in the zones, so zone is what? Zone is nothing but a list. It's just a list. And then next thing is, in the zones we have records. So we have different type of records here. Within the records, first one that we discussed is a host record. It's the most common record all the machines have, all computers. So all computers must have a host record. All computers must have a host record. So all the computers, if the computer doesn't have an a host record, it means that it doesn't exist in DNS. Then the second type of record, AAA refers to IPv6, a computer that has IPv6 IP address. Computer with IPv6. So for now, they're not very common, since they're not commonly used at the moment. And then the next type of record that we said is, next type of record is SOA record. So start of authority. Start of authority is only for the first DNS server. Start of authority is only for first DNS server. So here I'm going to say first DNS in your environment. It is for the first DNS in your environment. And then the second one is SOA, and the SOA is, so the second one. Okay. Just a second, guys. Just a second.
Name.
Just give me a second here. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Actually, it's off days for kids. And actually, so uh, fortunately, this is the last day of their. It's Friday, right? So it's the last day of their 2 weeks vacation.
Sir, we have also long weekend by coming Monday.
Oh yeah, that reminds us. You guys asked that if you.
Yes,
So
sir.
so how many people are not available on Monday? Wasim is not. Wasim said requested, or okay.
Yes. So,
Oh,
will you off on Monday, or like there will be a class, sir?
okay, so that depends on if most of you are kind of, probably
Ye-
it might be the last few weekends of your summer. Is it summer? Is it
Yes, sir.
winter started or no?
Yes, sir. We are just entering in the winter,
Okay,
sir.
yes.
Yeah.
So yes, we can switch it off if many of you are not available.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you,
But
sir.
but 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 you guys have not voted how many are available and how many are not available.
Sir, everyone, I think.
We are available, sir.
Except Bhatti Saab.
Oh,
Except
except
Batti Saab, sir.
yes.
Batti Saab is a,
Give them another extra like lab.
sir, he is a Iron Man.
Okay, okay. So, right. Actually, so Wasim is also suggesting that we can do a class on Tuesday, but I'm not available on and I mean other days. It's all I have classes on other days. So we can continue on after that on next Thursday. Okay.
That's
But
fine.
I would request that please complete your labs. Please complete
For sure.
your labs for this. Yes, and I still have to receive your custom lab. How many of you have completed the custom lab? Okay, how many of you have completed 60% of the custom lab? Okay. Okay, 60% is Huben, Dishan, Wasim. Okay, more than half. Okay. So guys, try to complete the custom lab as well, and also we need to go for the exam. It will be really really tough to get into the market, and we need to be very very strict with this because we're not here for enjoyment, everyone. That's for sure, 100% sure. We're not here for enjoyment. You're not spending your time, your money here for enjoyment, and I'm not doing the same thing. So for that reason, from next week we'll be very very strict with the labs, and we need to do everything all together, without the full force, guys. Without the full force we cannot break into that circle of those IT professionals that are not letting anyone in. So normally there is a circle that you cannot get inside, but we can get inside with full force. Remember that when there is a marathon, when there is a race, when there is something, you at the end you need to make all the efforts. You'll be sweating, you'll be maybe slipping, you will fell down, you will feel frustrated, but we need to use that all force in order to get into that circle. So from next week we'll be more and more strict. Maybe we might need to spend more time on this. Maybe you might be very tired at work next morning because we have spent more time in the lab. But guys, that will all be worth it. That will all
Sure.
be worth it. Okay. So if we need to spend more time, I will ask, I would want you to spend an extra time here in the lab. Why? Because just think of just focus on the end of the line. End of the line. End of the line will reach only those people that are that have a lot of sweat on them. You will see them, they'll be, their bodies will be trembling. We do not want to be, from, because there is nothing like standing in the middle in here, guys. There is nothing like that. If you make your half-hearted efforts and you can make it to the end line, there is nothing like that. There is trust me, there is nothing like that. So I've done these classes many 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 times. I've done these classes many many times, and I've seen people who are with the half-hearted efforts. I mean, okay, I will complete the lab, and I understand this lab, I don't have to do this lab because it's so easy. And I don't, guys, they never made it. so they never made it. Not everybody made it, but people who are following, you will be tired, you will feel frustrated, but that frustration, that tiredness, trust me, is part of the game. If you're not feeling tired and if you're not feeling frustrated doing the labs, it means that you're not learning. I'm not learning. If I'm not, so when I started with the cloud technology was totally new for all of us, for all the IT admins. Once it was new, only Microsoft knew how it is done. But then we started learning, and then it was exactly the same learning curve that you are going through right now. And we just went through it past 3 years, 3 years back. So, and many people just left back. They didn't understood the cloud technology. They said, we are good with system admin. And now there are less and less jobs of system admin. There are no system admin jobs. There are cloud jobs. And cloud jobs requires this. So now they have to upgrade. They are forced to upgrade. So my point here is, we'll spend more time in the lab, spend more time working with each other together. So we will be start sacrificing. So this is, yes, Monday will be off and the next class will be on Thursday.
So a quick note, sir. It's not a note, just my remarks. You said in the last, because I've newly joined the last class, you said in the last class that 8 hours of your lecture and 8 hours of sweating, total 16 hours.
Yes.
So
Yes.
are you sure that 16 hours would be
Yeah.
enough for this?
100%. 100%. If honestly someone can spend 16 hours. And okay, so let me ask this question to everyone. Other than custom lab, have we spent 16 hours honestly every week on this training? I mean, on average, how many hours have we spent other than that? So class is like 8 hours. Other than that, there is like, so you can type your number in the chat window. You've spent per week maybe 15, 20 hours or maybe 10 hours every week since we started this training. You can write your number in the chat window. If you were able to spend like 10 hours a week, 12 hours a week, like that. Yes. So yes, on average, okay, so now Dishan is saying now more than 16 hours per week. Yes, because you're doing the labs. So yes, Faz, to answer your question, and papers as well. Yes, your exams as well, and every day 5 to 6 hours Alamgir. So Faz, yes, if you anyone can spend 16 hours at least, then we can make it. But now I'm saying that if you can spend more, that will be excellent.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
So I haven't yet started yet because have glitches with my computer.
Right.
So I hopefully, if I get my computer tomorrow, next few days I'll be on
Right.
track.
And you also mentioned about your work schedule. So that work schedule will remain the same, right?
No, it has changed, sir.
Change to accommodate you to attend these
Yeah, in the
classes?
morning. In the morning, yeah, I'll be attending live sessions.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
I'll be working morning.
Okay, you'll be working morning, so it won't affect you. That will be excellent. That's excellent. Very good.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Very good, guys. Any other comment, any other suggestion? Okay, very good. So how many, so we are like, how many people are we here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're 9 people, guys. We are 9 people. We'll make our best effort. We're helping out each other, and also it's a team effort. And I'm keep on reminding. So here on the whiteboard, I need your attention on the whiteboard. This is the IT job market. IT job market. And so this is all of the IT job market. And then there are these people. There are IT. So these are hundreds and hundreds of people here, thousands of people, IT professionals. These are all IT professionals. We are standing here. So we need to jump over them in order to get into this. So I mean, this is just And in actual, it's really tough now. So the things that they don't have, why they're not getting into IT market, are these. Number one is certification. People don't update their certificates. Certifications, number one. Number two, concepts should be clear. Number three, hands-on, strong hands-on. Okay. Strong hands-on. So these three things make up to for you to in order to grab a job in here. So now many of the people who are in the last list here, they are not certified. So there are many people, they don't upgrade their certification, and they just say that there are not enough jobs in the market. Then there are many people who are in the middle here. They have all of the certification, but they don't have hands-on. So they don't have hands-on. If somebody doesn't have hands-on, definitely that person doesn't have concepts too. So that person cannot explain anything if he doesn't have hands-on. So hands-on is directly related to concepts. So concepts, yes, in this lecture you can understand a concept, but you will forget it if you don't do it, if you don't do it. So for that reason, doing labs is very important. So I'm just giving you an idea how is this really looks like in the market. Every day people are getting there are jobs are there every day, you are saying. And I think I haven't added you to our group. I will add you to the job board as well. I will add you to our WhatsApp group as well, where all of the people can ask technical questions, and there are many people that are ready who were part of the canaps, and my all our students, they are all very helpful as well. They answer. So I will add you to that group, and I will add you to the job group. You will see every day there are jobs. Every day there are jobs coming. But because of lacking all this, you cannot survive. Okay, so for that reason, everyone, I would request that since we are in this training 70-741, so we completed so far workshop right from the start. Then we completed 740, and now we are on 741. My plan is that after 741 we should directly jump on to VCP is an advanced training, and after that we jump on to Azure. After that, we jump on to AWS. And at the end, if requires, then we go with 742. So this is what I suggest. But in order to move from 741, you need to be very good with these two, the 740 and 741. Because if 741 is not prepared properly, then it's better to go for 742 training, which is again Microsoft, and these advanced training starts after. But I think if you're able to do the custom job, and you try to basically uh, uh, spend that time in completing the custom lab. I know custom lab is not easy. Custom lab is not easy. Not I mean you have to you have to understand the concepts. You go back to the videos, then try to understand, then come back, then it is stuck, then troubleshoot, call this, call that, and all that. Guys, that is all basically part of the custom lab. That is all part of the custom lab. Try to fix it. If you're able to complete the custom lab of 740, 741, then I would not waste time on 742. I would say we should directly jump on advanced training and start, because these are the advanced training that will move us to this level.
Nanbai, just on that, are you going to do Citrix as well for us?
Citrix is not required. Citrix, before I used to provide Citrix training. I am a Citrix specialist as well, Alhamdulillah. But Citrix at the moment is not required. Citrix is replaced with cloud now. So cloud is more important than Citrix.
Okay, makes sense. So you suggest that we go for the vSphere, right?
Yes, VCP. VCP is virtualization, which is vSphere virtualization. So, but these are advanced trainings. I want you to be first in the habit of basically understand all the concepts here and going through that frustration of completing all this. So then we can jump onto this, or we can stay with our schedule, and then we'll keep with the schedule and we'll move it 7:42. Okay, so that we will decide later. Human, you have a question?
Assalamu alaikum, number.
Welcome, salam, Human.
Just I wondering to know because as you mentioned, everything goes to the cloud. But for the cloud base, what they look at, they look at to the because as you know, the concept of cloud totally is different. But when we go to the interview for cloud, they're gonna ask us, something related to MCSA, or directly they ask for the cloud computing.
Yes. So once you go to the cloud interviews, they expect that you understand all of the servers. Number one. So this is, even if they don't ask in the job description, it is required. So MCSA is required for all of all cloud jobs. A cloud admin job, cloud architect job. It is all. It's like a uh, default expectation that they have. So they will ask you, it's not written in the job description, they will still ask you questions about servers installation and all that. But and the cloud concepts are also required. So to answer your question, yes, both are required.
And Adnan, sorry, I ask again because usually when I go to the interview, the main concern is GCP, Google. Just I wondering to know why most of the company move to the GCP instead of Azure and AWS. We have lots of company right now working in Azure and AWS, but Google, is that cheaper or easy to use?
No.
Because
So for everyone else, what is GCP? There are three cloud providers, guys. There is Azure, there is AWS, and there is GCP, Google Cloud Platform. So all of these cloud providers are nowadays important, so GCP is also catching up, which is Google Cloud. Google came into the cloud market after AWS, which is Amazon and Microsoft. So Human's question is, why am I seeing many jobs in GCP and not in Azure and AWS? So my answer to you is, I'm seeing all three of them. I mean, mostly I'm seeing Azure and AWS. GCP, I see, as compared to all the other two, there are less jobs in GCP at the moment, but in coming year there will be more and more jobs in all three of them. Okay.
thank you.
Okay, you're most welcome. And any other question, anyone? Okay, I am. So here, look at this.
So one last question.
Yes,
Total
please.
in 740 total, how many lectures you had?
In 740,
Yes.
there were 8 chapters. There were 8 chapters and 8 or 9 lectures.
Okay.
And all the videos are there in the link.
Okay.
Okay. So guys, look at this. This I just got it today. So this one is. So this is. I mean, we get this every other day. So remember that I was saying there are many jobs available. So I'm saying that every day there are jobs available, and Human knows it too, because Human has profiles everywhere, and he gets calls too. And all the IT professionals, these calls will come to you as soon as you upload your resume. As soon as you upload your resume, and your resume has all the important skills like certification and all, they will start sending you emails, they will start calling you. But when the recruiter reach out to you, especially with your names, it means that they are serious and you need to reply back. Okay, so this one is a 12 months contract. They are saying certification in VMware vCenter. So this is what I was referring to, that right after this training, before cloud, we need to go for VCP. So where is it? So we need to go for VCP, because now since guys, I mean, you've all, I mean, have a trust on me right from the start, saying that, you know, whatever I'm saying, that we need to do that because we need to go into the job market. So the way I look at the job market, I see this is the pattern. So even if we skip 740, although, though guys, remember that if I skip 740 training, basically I'm skipping the fee part of this as well. I mean, for me as a professional trainer, if I say, if I'm a professional trainer, I would say, you know, why should I jump onto these? I should complete 740, 741, 742 and take the fees, and then I will offer you VCP and Azure and AWS. So in actual, this should go in this manner. But since we are doing a job focused training, since we need to get into the market, so what I see is that instead of 740, I can include few chapters of 740 in 741 and make a custom training. And then you go through that training and fix everything. Then you don't need to go for this training. Okay. Uh, and jump directly onto VCP where the real money is. Okay. So for that reason, I'm showing you this. So this, luckily I just saw it and it just came 1 hour, just now it came. And we get this almost every other days. And this person, just by looking at the job description, this person is really serious in finding someone who is certified with VMware, number one, 5 years experience designing, deploying vCenter, migration, workload, and all that. And the, so guys, do not be panicked about these, that you need a 5 years experience. Guys, will, I mean, the things that we are learning here, that is giving you 10 years of experience. So how do you prove that your work, that you have 5 years or 10 years of experience? Yes, you have to write that in your resume. But guys, they don't trust the resume. They trust your knowledge and your concepts. So once they ask a question, they would exactly know how many years of experience you have. All the recruiters, all managers, they know that we over exaggerate in our resume, just like they over exaggerate in the job description requirements. So here they need a super admin that needs everything. But even managers would know, if anyone who can qualify 50 or 60%, they will get him, they will get him on board. So they know that there won't be anyone who is 100% can qualify everything. So this is one thing. Secondly, so the job description and posting will be like this. Here they're saying that you need 10 years of experience deploying, configuring, supporting, optimizing Blade servers, Cisco, UCS. So I mean, this is what I'm talking about. Super admin is required. There won't be anyone with like, I mean, okay, I am the one with 10 years of experience in this, but there are many people who are not 10 years experience, but their concepts and hands-on are very, very strong. So we go for the interview with our strong concepts, and we'll prepare that at the end of this training as well, inshallah. So here, 10 years of experience deploying, configuring, supporting, optimizing. Here, this is the VMware, the VCP, the next training that I'm talking about. Here, they're saying 10 years of experience deploying tier 1 storage, which is NetApp and EMC. Here, they're saying Net Backup and Commvault, and experience with agile environment. So at the end, yes, we will have that 4 weeks in order to prepare ourselves, get into these, how to get into these shoes here. So this is just one example here. Okay, everyone is here in the class. Please type yes in the chat window, whoever is available. Okay, excellent. Zishan, Wasim, Human, Ashish, Asher, and Salim. And okay, excellent. So everyone, are we on? Everyone, do we understand that we need, from the next coming weeks, we will be needing more time in this? I understand that it might be a little bit frustrating on the job, and I would say that try to sacrifice. If you're not able to sacrifice, I mean, it's fine as well, but try to sacrifice. This 6-8 months of our hard work will basically change our next 8 years, inshallah. It will, definitely it will. Okay, so since we are all here, so I'm logging into my server in this. Okay. And guys, so one thing that I wanted to share with you, that yes, I am committed to this training, and you can see my commitment. I'm giving you suggestions and everything as well. But at the same time, my contract job responsibilities are changing. So maybe for maybe next 2 or 3 weeks, we'll have to have one class instead of two classes. Maybe I'm fighting that. I'm fighting that I cannot make it. I won't be able to make it for that contract so, but I'm just giving you heads up on this. If it is required, then we'll make us some strategy to cover this time. How can we cover all this? So I'm fighting on my side as well to stay with the commitment.
Sorry,
uh
Adnan. Sorry, Adnan.
yes, please go ahead.
Are you make us happy? Are you coming to Canada?
I love to, but the thing is, it's not a easy decision for me because all my family is now settled here. Kids are going to school and all that. But I am trying for sure. I will. I have to,
But
because there is some, yeah.
but you defer the contract they offer you for the
Yeah, the
teaching
other
work?
one, Waterloo, it didn't work out for me, so I refused it. So yeah, but I am trying there. So yes, inshallah, we'll meet very soon.
Inshallah.
So our all focus on success, everyone. We're looking at the success.
So, because I joined lately, so I just need to ask you, what's the main difference between Windows 2012 server and 2016 server? What's the main? I think it's totally off
No, it's not off. It's
the
totally
track.
not off. And so if I would say
Because
what,
it looks similar to me, so I
right,
just
right,
want to know.
right. So what will be our difference between an old aeroplane and a new aeroplane? 777 or maybe A380.
Mm. So new avionics or new engine?
New engine, but it's still a plane, right?
Yes.
So, it is still doing exactly the same thing. So, 2012, 2016, 2019, there is no difference in functionality. They just added some new features, and that's it. And those are not difficult features to remember. Basically, all have Active Directory, all have DNS, all have DHCP, all have IP addresses, all they ping exactly in the same manner, and mainly their interface is exactly the same as well. So if you are expert on 2012, you're already expert on both of them. If you're expert in 2019, you're already expert on both of them. Yes, if you would have asked me what is the difference between 2008 and 2012 and 2016, 2008 is older interface. 2008 was not like 2012. So 2012, 2016, and 19 are exactly the same. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
So excellent. And Wasim also requested that I should have introduced the new person. So new person is Faz here in the team, in the class. And there was one person that Javed Wasim mentioned. I'm not sure why he's not here. He was really interested. He sent me a message, but I'll have to check that out. Uh, so Faz is also one of my old students. A long time back, we took one training, and Faz, are you certified as well? You completed some certifications too?
Yeah, I did Cisco
Cisco certifications. Okay, Cisco
CCNP
certification.
level.
Yes. So Faz is nowadays more interested in Windows and cloud technology. So then I suggested that to join this training. So welcome, Faz. And sorry, I should have introduced you before in the beginning. So this is your second class. Okay. Um okay, everyone. So what is the time now? What is the time now? How much time do we have? Do we have? So if some of you might be thinking that we are wasting time in kind of this type of talk, guys, this type of talk is part of the training. This type of talk is part of the training. Motivational talk is part of the training. We need to know the extent of the. We need to know extent of the what do you call the impact when the we need to know the extent of our efforts. I'm not finding the correct words here, but we need to know what are we running against. So there will be at the end of this rope. So there are two ways. Number one is, so we're not wasting time. Number one, guys, please do not think we're wasting time. No, we're not wasting time. I want you to remember that there are two ways. When the trainings are finished in colleges, so I've taught in Humber College, I've taught in other colleges as well. I know when the trainings are finished, teacher go right, student goes left, done, finish. Teacher got the payment and students paid for the fees, and now everything is done, finished. But guys, our in our training, this is not the case. I need to make sure, inshallah, that all of you should at least start with the IT environment. The first job will be a bit difficult, but then rest will not be difficult. So my focus is different. This is why I need to let you know that there is a difficult time coming very soon. Very soon we'll be finished with these trainings, and that difficult time is preparing for interviews, going for the job market, maybe failing the interviews is also part of the same. I want you to fail the interviews so that we can learn from each interview and move on. So my point is that this time is not wasted. So please do not think, if you're thinking, if someone maybe it might come to your mind, why are we wasting time on this? Guys, this is very important. What do you think?
Can you
Yes,
hear
sir.
me?
Okay, excellent. So
Yes.
how much time is left though, by the way?
You don't have time at number.
It's done? Are we done?
Yes, sir. It's 10:30. Yes, sir.
10:30. Wow.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. So excellent, guys. 10:30 is the time. Monday is off, and we'll be meeting back on Thursday. And I'm expecting that please everyone complete the custom lab.
Adnan, just I have a request. Could I talk with you after the class?
Yes, we can.
Could I call you or you call me back?
I will call you in 10 minutes. I have to call another person as
Sure.
well, but I will call
Sure.
you right after.
Sure. Because I want to explain for you the exam I had.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So Human just finished the cloud exam, which is AZ104. It was difficult. It was really difficult. Do you want to just give out few points here if for everyone's benefit, or you want to discuss with me later?
No. I just because we are the same goal. And Adnan, thank you so much because as you know, I'm with you long time, and whatever from IT I have, it came from you, and you are best mentor, best teacher for me, and I hope I couldn't do anything for you, but I'm sure God do something for you, and God bless you.
No, you're
As
doing a lot for me, and yes, God is doing a lot for me as well. Alhamdulillah.
as you know, because I would like to be honest with my classmate, because all my classmate is my brother here. I don't have family here. As you know, Adnan, I failed the first exam I had, and you just record the message for me. I was so disappointed what I have to do, and when I listen to your message and you record for me, I get another energy, and I start to study hard again. As you mentioned, exam is really hard because this is dumb question, but when you go to the exam, they change all the question, they change all the answer, and if somebody gonna prepare for the cloud exam, I prefer first review the Azure, hold the class with you, whatever
Exactly.
they had.
Okay.
I don't recommend that they just read the dump and come to the exam. And after that, when they receive the dump question, they have to learn single question because the question came from dump, but they change the topic, they change the answer, they play with that one.
Okay.
And
Okay.
also on the dump, they have the show answer. If they have the They have, if they just, my classmates go through the dump and put the show answers and review the answer and learn very well, they don't have any problem. But for me, it's take 2 to 3 weeks. For this reason, I couldn't do some lab and participate
Okay.
on that class, because honestly, at least 4 or 5 hours each day, I put the time
I know.
to prepare myself for the exam.
Right.
And I'm feeling for second time, I was lucky because I feeling I gonna fail again, but
You passed.
thanks God I passed the exam.
Excellent.
And get so happy. But if I gonna explain for that one, it's preferred class finish, review the class, and then during the class they go to the preparation and read the each question carefully, learn that one. And for some question, because it's coming, they have to make a formula for themselves. For example, they have something, or they can, write it down somewhere. If this question coming, it's close to that one, and memorize it some, coding or something like that during the exam. And inshallah, they're gonna be successful for that one.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you for your nice words about me, and we are all brothers here, and we are working as a team. We're helping out each other, and you're always available to help out others as well. So I've heard a lot of good things about you as well, Human, and I'm very happy that you were able to finish this. You already have other certifications too. So the
Yeah,
only
I have,
thing, yes.
I have Citrix, I have VMware, and I have MCSA. But as you mentioned, and I would like to share with all my friends here, hands-on experience is the top one, because why I was disappointed, I had the exam, sorry, I had the interview, I went to the interview, and they asked me just a small question, how, did you remember the lab Adnan Bhai shared with us? Because I couldn't sleep the time before the interview, I lost in the interview, and they asked me create the username. When you everybody working in the company, when you come into the company, they prepare for you guys laptop and they add you guys to the Active Directory. The question came from that. They say, for example, they create for me virtual lab, and they told me you are new, you have new hire, and you have to create the account in the Active Directory. And during that time, you have to create admin account for somebody else. And please do that. And I go in the middle, but I stuck, and I lost the interview. And as Adnan Bhai mentioned, right now everything is hands-on. Certification, as Adnan Bhai mentioned, is open the door for you guys to get an interview. But when you go to the interview, they are smart because they know many people in the market, and they ask you those questions, those custom lab we have. Still, I'm feeling, I have to work in my custom lab as much I could. But the problem came from that one, and I was so done. For this reason, just as Adnan Bhai mentioned, please, do, practice as much you could.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your comments, and it's beneficial for all everyone here.
Thank you, Human. And Human, just for the benefit of other people over here, does this hands-on labs which we do on the VMware, uh, does it make a substitute for the job-ready experience which they are looking for in the IT market?
Yeah, it's really good question, because I think Adnan Bhai put the right point, because when I go, VMware virtualization, as much you guys, Adnan Bhai, create for you guys right now is top in the market. If you guys know the VMware and you have a good hands-on experience for that one, at least, the hourly payment, Adnan Bhai, please correct me, is $50 to $60 an hour, because VMware is really high demand, in the IT market. I participate in the class for the Adnan Bhai for the VMware, but honestly, because of the family issue I had, I couldn't practice. my previous job was support. I was level 2 support and, level 3 support. I didn't get any chance to work in VMware. But most of the good job came from VCP background. If you have really good experience, as I see, Adnan Bashir, Navid Bhai, and Basim, and Ashish, practice and custom lab, it's really good. If you guys gonna go like that, inshallah, for sure you can get better and better job during that kind of experience. But I'm feeling, as a somebody working the market, I think Adnan Bashir honest way for everybody, because for me, when I go to the interview, they just tricky ask me question about the cloud. And what's the basic cloud, as I learned so far through the Adnan Bhai, is VCP. And I think if we know VCP and practice on that one, hands-on experience, it's much more beneficial, because you have two options. You can apply for system admin and you can apply for cloud admin. I'm not sure, Adnan Bhai, am I right or wrong?
Yeah, this is absolutely right. This is absolutely right. Okay, excellent, guys. So we'll be working in a team, and so Monday is off, and we will be we'll meet again on Thursday. And Ashish, your camera is on. You're walking somewhere in the park.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I had to go get water. I get water from a well.
Where are you walking? You're getting water from the mountains or what?
From the well, so I have to go buy some water before the store closes.
Okay,
Right.
that's good. I mean, that's good for a change, though. So everyone, excellent.
Everybody.
I will share with you the labs as well. Please complete the labs, and if you have any questions, we'll all work together in a team, and we'll all be successful at the end.
Inshallah.
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 Okay, guys.
Okay.
See you in the next lecture.
Okay, sir.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye-bye.
Okay, now my
Allah Hafiz.
Adnan
Allah
Bhai, talk
Hafiz.
to you later.
Allah
Bye-bye, everybody.